Hey gang, Wes Buck here, Drag Illustrated Magazine, and thank you so much for joining us on the second ever episode of the Drag Illustrated Ride Along. As you surely know by now, we are taking in the sights and sounds of the No Prep Kings Season 4. We premiered the show last week. We were on here forever. We were joined by Clay Millican. It was unbelievable. We also, and this fog machine's actually on. It was a joke. I didn't mean to turn it on. Now the house is full of fog. That was a questionable decision. We were also joined by Doug Cook at Motion Raceworks. We had Jeff Lutz on here, one of the stars of Street Outlaws No Prep. We got some lingering fog here this week. We're going to take in episode 3 as the No Prep Kings series rolls into South Georgia Motorsports Park, a facility very well known in our industry, the home to many, many records, first evers, barrier-breaking performances. And tonight we're going to watch the Street Outlaw No Prep Kings superstars do their thing on one of the most notorious outlaw 8th miles in the country. Hey to everybody. I do want to remind everybody, if you don't mind, go ahead, click like, click share. If you're following along on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the Drag Illustrated YouTube channel. And remember, we are coming at you 24/7 with new videos, live content every Wednesday, the Wes Buck Show, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I guess without further ado, let's get the rest of the squad in here. We got a packed house tonight. To my right, left, depending on where you're at, I got the one and only Mike Carpenter, JT Murder Tundra Hudson. We've also got Clay Millican, Top Fuel superstar, and of course, the man of the hour, the world famous Daddy Dave Comstock. I did swear that I would never actually say Daddy Dave out loud, but he has forced my hand. I do it all the time. It's an awkward thing to call another guy a grown man. I'm a grown man. Call him Daddy, but what's up, Daddy Dave?
I love it. It never gets old.
I've
sure learned over
doesn't.
the years, you never say never, because eventually you're going to say it.
Yeah, you're going to say it. You're going to say it. No, it's an incredible thing, man, and I appreciate you guys being so giving with your time. We really appreciate it. I know all of our fans and viewers appreciate it. It's I tell you what, this is going on. I had a lot of questions last week. I was getting phone calls and texts like, "Hey man, what's up with the us watching you watch No Prep Kings?" And I said, "Hey man, turn on Monday Night Football." I mean, Peyton Manning and Eli Manning are doing this tonight. They're going to be breaking down a Monday Night Football game as it happens, providing insight, immediate reaction, thoughts, and opinions. And it's a fun way to connect with people. And I thought, you know what, if I can't get everybody together in one room, this is the next best thing. So we're super proud of it, super appreciative of the support. Brandon Foster, Sand Haulers of America, as you see on screen. If you've got an over-the-road truck and you're looking for a load to haul, log on to sandhaulersofamerica.com. And, of course, our longtime buddy Doug Cook at Motion Raceworks, both big supporters of this new piece of content. So I guess this is race number 3 on the No Prep Kings tour.
I believe so.
Number 2 of points, but yes.
Second points race. So that first race, Dave, that was like to just kind of establish the cast?
Establish the 32 drivers for the Invitational.
Okay. And so after that first race, what was it, like 20-something of the guys no longer had to race their way in?
Correct.
Okay. Very interesting. And I guess, are we live right now? I think is this the pregame?
It's not, not quite yet.
Yeah, we're not to 8 o'clock. This is the end of the team attack for the previous, well, I guess it's actually the same week, but so how did that work, Dave? Yeah, with the team attack deal, the fact that they didn't do it until the second race, was that the game plan all along? So this show would lead into the Invitational each week?
Yes.
Okay.
So the first one pretty much set the drivers for the Invitational and set the teams. So going into the second one in Florida, they had the teams to choose from and all that.
So how were the teams picked, Dave?
Well, us, it's pretty obvious.
Well, I know, but I mean, like
the 405. Y'all are like a gang.
Obvious.
You're like the Sons of Anarchy, right?
Right. But I mean, like, the rest of the groups, how did they? I mean, I know you got Noel, I got all that, but like
Like Team
There's some
X,
of them that are a
what's the
mixture.
story
How
on
did that
that?
all come about?
God, you're gonna put me on the spot. So Team X is
Correct.
a new one that Robin Roberts started. So he just handpicked fast cars from all over, and which it's not a horrible idea, but it's not team like you're not gonna find a team that is as tight knit as we are. So I mean, Texas is good, NOLA is good. The rest of them are just pieced together,
Right.
handpicked from all over.
So
I get it.
So tell me this: what does that mean? Other than I know it's kind of grudge racing for 15 grand on Friday night for y'all, basically to test out the racetrack. I kind of get that, but at the end of, as far as the show goes, what is Team Attack? I mean, is there some like points thing attached to that as well?
No points thing.
Okay.
So they'll get all the teams together. There's 5 teams. Us, 405, Texas, NOLA, Team X, and then the Dean's List.
Yeah.
So there's 5 teams, and the team draw out of a bucket. So the 2 people will draw a chip that has a star on it. And that's you. Like, you 2 get to represent your team for $15,000.
Gotcha.
No points. It's just $15,000 to win.
Gotcha. I mean, I think it's cool. And, I just wasn't sure, I guess, just other than open, grudge racing, at least y'all are going out there testing and got a chance to win a little money if your team is one of the 2 picked, I guess.
If you're one of the 2 from your team picked, yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, even if you ain't, you can still go out there and grudge race. So
right.
I guess it's just a way to win $15,000, and it's some other series I can put on TV for everybody to watch.
Gotcha. And a show for Friday night, right? For the fans in attendance.
Exactly. Yeah. So Friday night,
was my takeaway being there is that really changes the atmosphere on Friday night, right? Because otherwise you just have everybody, hoping you get some grudge races or hoping you can get some test and tune type of stuff going. But having that extra race within a race, I mean, it makes it, Friday night's a pretty exciting, it's nothing like the Invitational on Saturday. But Friday night, it's a pretty raucous atmosphere, man. 15,000 ain't nothing to sneeze at. I mean, that's what Clay's racing for these days.
Exactly.
Oh man.
Hey, I'm just saying I didn't mean to, hey, it's money, man.
It is money, and it puts that atmosphere, that competitive atmosphere in Friday night. So it gives the fans something to watch, someone to root for. It's a good thing.
So it's probably something that they learned or adapted after the 2019 season, right? They probably realized that they needed something more structured for the Friday night show.
Well, here's the thing: is that they used to run first round invitational on Friday night.
Okay.
Well, most of the general public, they work and they can't make it Friday night. So now you got half the field eliminated on Friday. Your fans, your supporters show up Saturday, and you're already put out, and they don't get to see you race at all on Saturday because you got put out Friday.
That's smart.
And you know what, man? One of the things, and I've thought that so many times, like on it, and Clay, I'm sure you've experienced this. It's so brutal. You bring out some sponsors, or you bring out some friends, and on Sunday, unfortunately, you go out early. You go out in E1 or whatever the case may be. God forbid you don't qualify. It's a devastating experience, extremely hard to recover from. Like, how are you going to convince these people to give you another chance or whatever? And I immediately was taken by the fact that even on Saturday during the Invitational, if you went out, there were other opportunities. You could immediately dive into the big tire race, and I'm sure you're encouraged to do so because people, to Dave's point, have come from all over creation to watch you race, and it would be a tragedy if they didn't get to see you run at all or only got to see you once. I just think I was massively impressed with the intelligent, there's a clear vision at play at these No Prep Kings events. The people in charge clearly know that they're there to put on a show and entertain fans. It's truly exceptional.
It's a show first and a race second.
Yeah.
There's Bowman.
Yeah, yeah. Who would have thought? You got.
I know, right?
Right. Lutz is drag week, and in season 1, Drag Week come down here and raced us on the street, and of course we're dumb. You know, everybody, oh, those guys are stupid, this, that, blah, blah, blah. And half these guys now are trying to get in.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, not naming names, but like Bowman and Dwayne Mills. There's just a bunch of them that just thought we were just dumb. This is never going to work. Y'all are crazy. You're going to tear your shit up for nothing. And now they're trying to get in.
We got you
So
here,
this is-
I guess, Bobby Ducati right here, Dave. Take us through this one.
Yeah. So Bobby guessed the light. Oh, that's horrible. Oh,
Man,
that's
that was
great.
close.
Damn.
Oh.
So Bobby guesses a light, and I chase him anyways. And it was a rookie mistake. Like, I was watching Bobby, watching the cone, watching Bobby, watching the cone. I should have been driving into the parachutes, and I didn't. Rookie mistake that I learned from.
Don't it suck?
And walked away from.
But don't it suck because you're certainly no rookie, and I do this. I do it from time to time. It's like, you're an idiot. Why did you do that? I know better. I mean, and it's too late after that stuff happens. But it's like, oh, I did that.
Yep. At the moment,
What
you
a
don't care. You're
shot
like,
that was.
Took that GoPro out with that steering wheel. That was a good throw.
Did you see that? I was so mad.
Well, and I think it might be a good opportunity. Was that the money steering wheel from our buddy Clayton at Chassis Engineering?
100%.
Is that steering wheel
that was
wrecked?
it.
Yeah, that shout out to our buddy
Yep.
Clayton.
Yes.
Yeah, man, Dave. It's what I hate is when people like to pile on, right? Like, because you can say it's a rookie mistake and you did it, so you can say that. But the fact is that this is like everybody in these cars a human being,
Yes.
right, Clay? I mean, it doesn't matter how much experience you have. I was actually. There was something that happened. Oh, I was listening to ESPN radio, and they were talking about the boxing match a couple of weeks ago, Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder. And they were saying Tyson Fury benefited from a slow count from the referee, that there was a moment where instead of picking the count back up, like 1, 2, 3, hey, go back to your corner, Deontay, 4, 5, 6. And what he should have done is picked up at like 7, wherever but to me, and they were going like, it needs to be electronic. It needs to be like, there shouldn't be any human involvement. I'm like, no. That's the word. There has to be human involvement. Like, that's part of sports, is the room for error and humans to make mistakes, because humans do that, right? I mean,
Yes,
we
we
could
do.
probably make these cars a lot safer and never wreck ever if they were just robotically controlled. And as soon as they felt any left to right lateral G's, they shut off or something. But I mean, how boring would that shit be?
It'd be
Boring.
way boring. Way boring.
How bad was it? Who are you calling right here, Dave?
My wife.
And she wasn't there?
No, we own a restaurant thing up in New York, so she's in New York 6 months out of the year.
Okay.
So she can't attend them. Most of them, actually. She left New York this morning. She's actually coming home until May of next year. So
Well, that's
I think
exciting.
she's gonna go to the next. I think she's gonna go to the next 2 of them with me. The last 2.
Well, awesome, man.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
But how I saw you this past weekend, obviously in Dallas. How long did it take to get the car repaired? How bad was it? Looked like ProCharger into the motor. I mean, that looked pretty rough there. How bad was it?
It was 3 months. So
That's
we had
still
to go
pretty
to the
quick.
firewall. Yeah, we cut it off at firewall. Bob did. Time and race cars. Cut it off at the firewall and redid it all up front. It's rough. Like, I still gotta go to them, and I'm not a spectator at all. I'm a horrible spectator. Clay, you're probably the same way, right?
Unless I come hang out with y'all, then I got something
Yeah.
to do.
Hell yeah.
You have to have a trailer to go to. You
Yeah,
got to
that's
have
right.
somewhere to.
You got to have a home base.
You got to have a home base, exactly.
So I
And
still
I love
need a
the
paycheck.
fans. I love the fans, but we're used to doing it. So what did you do? I know 1 or 2 races you took your truck, Dave. I mean, did you do that? You didn't do that to all of them, did you?
Yeah, I took it to 3 of them.
Okay.
So the daily driver class, I got to do something. I just can't sit there. So I took the S10, ran the daily driver class. I still got to show up and get paychecks is a deal. Like if I don't show up, you don't get a paycheck.
Right.
Hard to fix the car without that.
What's that?
Hard to fix the car without a paycheck.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, I won a few of the daily driver deals, but I'm that guy. I didn't want everybody to think I was coming in there just to dominate a class. And my S10 is, I daily drive it, but it's far from a daily driver.
Yeah.
So for the ones that I won, I gave the second place guy, I let him have the winnings. So hopefully that karma rubs off on me.
No joke, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm sure those guys, to be honest, man, they've got to be like beside themselves to have you opposite them. You know what I mean? Like it reminds me of one of the coolest experiences that I've had as like a race promoter was in Orlando 2 years ago during our World Door Slammer Nationals in 2020. And like we had Greg Anderson and Jason Line and all these people, Jed Coughlin Jr., Erica Enders, all in the staging lanes. And these local bracket racers are like, it's so cool to be like in the lanes with these people. So I'm sure it was an awesome experience for all those daily driver category guys to like look over and see, here we go again, Daddy Dave, you know, in the lanes with them. I mean, that's a big moment.
It is, because they would never get a chance to sit beside my car.
Right. It's awesome, man.
I enjoyed it. It was fun. Like the one in Pennsylvania, everybody questioned my S10. So when I left Maple Grove, I didn't even put it back in the trailer. I just drove it straight to New York from Maple Grove.
That's awesome, man. I'm curious, what did you say when like your phone rang and they're like, hey, we're going to do, how many races are there? 16 or something this year?
15.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
So
Seattle got axed off the schedule, I think.
So what did you make of, I mean, that's Clay Millican Top Fuel territory. I mean, that's a huge commitment. A lot of these races are week after week after week. I mean, were you like, hell yes, sign me up? Or were you like, you guys need medication?
A little bit of both. Strategy. I mean, strategy comes into it. Like you go out there and you grab your car around the throat every event, or do you go out there and go rounds, be consistent, gather the points, and make it to the end? Ryan Martin just got the mentality of, you know, he grabs it around the throat every time, and he's consistent that way. And you know, he breaks a lot. Everybody breaks. You have to when you're beating on them that much. I don't even think NHRA runs as much as we do they?
No, we do 20. We did 22, or we will do 22 this year.
But man, they're spread out. I mean, it's spread out. I mean, it's still insane, and I'm not making light of it. But you know, like I think everybody kind of like this. No Prep Kings is presented like as an everyman deal, right? But I mean, this is absolute professional drag racing. I mean, anybody that can do this 3, 4, 5, 6, however many weekends in a row, you're a professional. I don't care what it runs on, nitro or methanol. That's a lot of damn drag racing, man.
What was it? Tucson, Colorado, Tulsa, Ennis, Louisiana, Florida. That's 6 weeks right in a row.
Yeah, 6 in a row.
Wow.
And you know, some West Coast stuff. Normally, we always think of everything being positioned on the East Coast, or that's where the majority of the races are. And you got guys towing way out there to the West Coast. So, I mean, it's good the way they arrange the schedule so the guys could park out there or stay out there if they needed to. But yeah, that's a rigorous schedule. I mean, I think that's more than NHRA Pro Stock and NHRA Pro Mod, right, Wes? Or about the same?
I mean, I
12
think
or
it's
14
more
for each of those. Yeah.
It's definitely more rigorous. Pro Stock's 18, so I guess they've got technically more
18
races. But I mean, there's times when they don't race for 2 or 3 weeks.
Well, we've heard that this is going to 18 next year, Dave. Is there any truth to that?
15 for sure.
Okay. So
you see that
looking
on
at
TV
it,
right there?
Yeah.
You know who that is, right?
Yeah, that's what's her name? Yeah, Puddin.
Yeah. I swear to God, I never knew that until somebody said it like a week ago, and I was like, "Ooh, Donald must be mad. She's all up on you."
That's a throwback. Yeah,
that is a throwback.
I haven't seen her in a long time.
Yeah.
So what's she doing out there?
She's married to Jim Howe. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yep. That's kind of weird. I didn't know it was her ever. And then somebody said something last weekend that it was her, and I was like, Jesus, Donald hates us, and now his ex-wife or whatever's on here.
I do think it's interesting. Like, obviously, you guys have had a relationship with Jeff Lutz for a long time, but it is crazy to see these drag week guys on there. Like, these guys have run in the 5s. You know what I mean? Like, it's just you can't. And I got to tell you, Larry Larson's struggling with y'all. I thought Larry
would hard on Larry every week on this show.
I tell you, Larry,
up.
Larry, we had Jeff on last week, and he had some words about Larry. Of course, we knew that was probably gonna happen. But I watched episode 2 there the other day, and wow, Larry, no love lost from Larry either. He was going on it too.
And we poke that bear every chance we get.
Oh, I bet.
Because at least when they're announcing, when Boosted announces the drivers, they'll say Larry Larson, and you look over at Lutz, and he's clapping, not very loud, but he's clapping. And then when they say Jeff Lutz, and you look over at Larson, and he won't do nothing. Oh, it's funny. And I'm like, hey, Lutz, funny, Larson ain't clapping for you.
Yeah.
So we
I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, it is.
I will tell you, I walked up to Mike Bowman, and he looked me square in the face, and he said, "Hey, man, this is the real deal out here." And I said, I can tell, man. I mean, it's like the drag racing, the racing in the competition is incredible. And he's like, dude, it's just like people don't understand like how good all these guys are and how sketchy it is out there. And like even my wife, like the untrained eye, like anybody who sees a little bit of this, I mean, you see those cars kind of transition off where there's a little bit of rubber built up onto like that super scraped surface. And I mean, everybody, even a car making a good run is moving side to side considerably.
That's why the stands are packed. That's why the stands are packed. I saw some photos from Ennis this weekend. And I mean, that is no small facility. And that place was packed down that left side. So tell us about your experience there, Wes, as far as like the atmosphere and the crowd and everything. I mean, what were you expecting and how did it measure up?
I would say that it exceeded all my expectations. I went to a No Prep Kings event like in season one of the first races of the season, and there was a good crowd, but this was before I believe like the Daddy Daves and like some of the star power had, arrived there. I mean, they had star power, but not like the superstars of the original show that have become, in my mind, like A-list motorsports celebrities. I was taken by it. Like as soon as I rolled up and saw the crowd and saw the traffic to try to get into the place, I was impressed. And it was kind of an interesting thing because the NHRA was there a week prior. So it was such a to have those events so close together was unique because I think my main takeaway on Friday night and Saturday night as well, dude, it's a different crowd. Like I saw tons of husbands and wives, which I don't think, I mean, you see at NHRA races, but like if you looked at the fence, it was like man, woman, child, man, woman, child, man, woman, child, man, woman, child. And I felt like I saw a lot of like relatively young folk there that weren't wearing Pro-Line shirts, that weren't wearing, Rear Morrison Racing Engine shirts. They were a different crowd by and large. And their enthusiasm, like the enthusiasm from the crowd is something that I haven't seen in a long time. Like Murder Nova won first round in 187 Customs right there. Murder Nova won first round. And when he came back up the return road on his scooter, Mike, JT, you'd have thought it was Jesus Christ. I mean, you'd have thought they were sending people to heaven. I mean, they were falling out of their seats, screaming and yelling and cheering. And I mean, and it was a really good round of racing. Like he deserved a hero's welcome. But I looked at Sam Corcus and I said, man, like that's what Murder Nova deserves. That's what drag racers deserve. I mean, these guys are out here doing this, putting on this kind of a show. Like it was so awesome to see the fans engage them like that. I thought the other thing that really surprised me, and I'm going to talk about this at length on Wednesday. I don't want to give it all up here, but Sam Corcus, the producer of Street Outlaws and Street Outlaws No Prep Kings from Pilgrim Studios, I was impressed that he was like down there on the starting line, like orchestrating the show.
Yeah.
I have not seen that. Like, I'm a starting line promoter, and there's a handful of them, but most promoters, like once the ball is in the air, as I joke, like once you've put, the event's happening and the ball's in the air, they're kind of in the tower or behind the scenes. And that's fine. Everybody does it different. But Sam was down, even during oil downs, Sam's down there like telling Justin Swanstrom what to do. Hey, go over there and high five those fans. They're calling your name. Go over there. And like he was trying to get Dave on the mic. He gets Dave on the mic. He gets Dave to organize a grudge race between a couple of dudes on mini bikes. All of that.
That's what it takes, though. I mean, it is. That's how that show is made. He doesn't miss a lot. I was there at Darlington when Lizzie crashed, and he came right over to Lizzie's pit and was, orchestrating. Make sure you're here when they bring the car back. Right here, put the mic here, and he was even hands-on, like making sure Lizzie was okay. His assistant, I can't call her name off the top of my head. Yeah, Jen. She was just as hands-on and as involved as he was. So I saw that same thing, Wes.
And
we put him in a car.
Commands the room. Really? You put him in a car?
Yeah, during the daily driver thing, we put him in. Keith Haney, he's a car salesman, or owns a dealership.
Yeah.
So he had all his new cars out there, and there was a brand new Corvette, and we put Sam in that thing and let him do the daily driver thing, make a pass in it. It was pretty funny.
Well, and that's so good for people to experience that.
Yep.
How'd he do?
He lost, but I mean, he did good. The car went down through there. He didn't crash it. And I mean, he did good as far as driving, but some guy shows up with a Ferrari at every daily driver and just crushes everybody.
We watched a lot of you guys race throughout the years
with Tesla Plaid and show
with, on drag radials before, and Tyler's race, Duck's race. Sean, hell, he had one hell of a run at Duck's race there that one year. I mean, he was driving the wheels off the thing that one year, but I think a lot of people don't realize that you got how extensive your racing background is. A lot of the keyboard warriors and whatnot.
Yeah, can't pay attention to people.
You can't.
You can't.
How hard
I
has
love
that
radio
been?
racing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Radio racing, I love it. Like, that's the first chance I get, I'm gonna put radials back on my car, and like I know what it runs right now. It runs 380s. You can run 380s. You can bracket race it, and I just want to cram some radials on it and see if it'll go up high 60 or low 70. I think it'd be amazing for that heavy thing.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be insane, man. To be honest, I mean, the cars are bad fast. I think that anybody who thinks that's not the case just hasn't been there. Like Friday night, I mean, it looked like Lizzie's car. It didn't make the trip, but I mean, it looked like it was. Pat had that thing loaded for like Q3 Pro Nitrous. I mean, it like all but knocked the earth out of rotation. And I said, Pat, like, y'all always run that thing hopped up like that?
He does.
He's like, and he goes, we don't have a choice. Like, and I said, holy, because I think perception wise, I roll in and I think everybody's just going to walk these things well out there, and pour the coals to them. And that's not the case. I mean, these things are loaded for bear. It's impressive. It's massively impressive.
But you're Pat Newsy, and you can. Like, she went through 3 motors, and I'm pretty sure she went through 3 motors in Colorado. Like, if she would have burnt the next one up, I guarantee you they would have went over to Kai's car and jerked a motor out of his. He'd have been like, hey, look, I'm going to go ahead and take this and put it in Lizzie's car.
That's what it takes to run the nitrous car on the mountain. Always has.
Yeah, and you're moosey. Like, you got spares in the trailer, and you don't care if you burn them up. That's hard to beat. Like, I've been there, the Sonoma, I used to melt that thing down every pass, but you had to. So, and like,
what's your take on that, Dave? As far as like that kind of program coming into No Prep Kings, are you for it or against it? What's your thought about it?
Well, it's obvious. I mean, I don't like it because as soon as you let money in, it takes over. But She can be beat. She has been beat. And I think the whole no prep thing is what separates it all.
Well, not even just Lizzie, but just like all these cars. I mean, like you said, it takes a 70 or 80 to be competitive in this deal now. Is that where they wanted to be with this, or has it already kind of gotten over center?
No. You get 32 people that have the same mentality and just competitive. It ain't gonna slow down, I promise you. We're not smart enough to say, yeah, you know what, this is good. Let's just set it on cruise control. We're not smart enough to do that. So we're just gonna keep pushing and keep spending money, and it's drag racing. Clay knows.
Yep. I mean, this, you hear the conversation all the time, y'all need to figure out cost spending. A racer will spend every dollar he has for a thousandth of a second, and that's just the way it is. And I don't know how you fix that. That's just what we do.
I don't think you can. It's like the curse of heads-up drag racing really is that there's nothing you can do. I mean, the only thing I think you could do is put like a claimer rule on it, but then you'd have some super rich guy game that and buy all the cars or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, there's no good way to do it. And I think when you've got something like No Prep Kings that, everybody's pretty sensitive when I say this, but it's the hottest game in town. And that's not me being biased or me trying to like blow smoke, but it's like the most significant platform I think that exists in drag racing today. And everybody wants a piece of it. I mean, Jeff Lutz last week called them camera chasers. I mean, who can blame them though? You know what I mean?
True.
Who can blame people wanting to be a part of this? I certainly don't blame them. But I do get concerned. Like, I hear rumblings of some of these people that are like talking about building a no prep car. And it's like, oh, geez, that's the last thing they need. However, more to Sam's credit, he ain't going to let some guy come in there and just ruin it. I don't think he would ever allow for that to happen because you, Dave, Murder Nova, everybody's too important. I mean, you have this cast of superstars, and he's going to – I think he's going to do everything that he can possibly do to make sure that, no one's coming in there and just stealing shine by having – long pockets.
You know what that means? If somebody does come in there and does that, that means we're all gonna go to Sam like this and be like, hey, we need some more money so we can beat on these people, so we can be competitive and get back on top. You're gonna need to put another 0 on the end of that check. And
a second ago I saw Jim Howe and Johnny Quick, and they were saying that they were gaming the system. There is some shit that happens throughout this deal. I believe they've solved the guessing the light problem, but in these first 3 episodes of the season, that's like a huge storyline. Am I right?
Yeah, I think watch this one right here. I think. Oh yeah, you see that?
Oh,
Yep.
Shit.
Yeah, Chuck guessed that one 100%. That's funny. You just
Wow.
about that.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. And last week, Jerry Bird, of course, he guessed on me and he beat me. But Nola was kind of known for that. And of course, I got down the finish line and I get out of the car calling Nola a bunch of pussies and y'all can't race heads up and blah, blah, blah. And it got heated and Jerry pushed me. I got a lot of respect for Jerry Bird, both of them. The Bird brothers, they've been around a long time. We've street raced them. They've been in cash days. Like, I got a lot of respect for a lot of these guys. And, the Bird brothers and us and me, we go back. So I got a lot of respect for them. And there was no way I was going to throw hands with Jerry Bird. For one, I'm too old. And for two, I got a lot of respect for him. But the whole guessing thing will wear you out. Like, you got the faster car.
Yeah.
But if you let somebody leave on you, chances are you're not going to catch them. And it just pisses you off.
But they do have that fixed now, right?
Yes,
Jeff
as far as
said,
I know. Yeah, a couple guys tried to guess in Tulsa and went red. So to guess it now it's not impossible, but it's really, really hard. It took a window this big and put it down to this big.
Well, they took the 4/10 out of it. Now if it's what I think they did, it now truly is an instant green, because before all you were doing was taking the amber bulbs out, and you've got auto start involved, and which is in Top Fuel Racing is from half a second to 1.2. I don't know exactly where they would have had it set for you guys, but Sportsman Racing is a touch different. But you can go in there and change the settings and remove that. And then there's 4/10 from amber to green. If you remove that, then it truly is instant green.
Instant green.
Yes.
And then the guess is just because they happen to catch it perfectly, but like you just said, you moved it from this down to that, I mean, we see.
And I tried. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying. I mean, we can see it. I mean, Alexis was 002 in the final in Bristol this weekend. I promise you, she did not mean to be 002. That was a bad red light. I mean, and I bet you she'll tell you that was a bad red light. You can't go 002 in a fuel car without a guess.
Yeah.
We were in Ennis this weekend, and during the grudge race, I'm going to try. Like, I want to see if you can. And, I mean, I ain't going to lie. I was racing Damon, and I guessed it, and I nailed that thing. Like, I had a car and a half on him before it even, he realized it. So it can be done. It just, the window is really, really small now.
I think I saw a couple of them, like even in very critical, like important rounds. You know what I mean? Like I'm going, that looked like a really great shot at it. You know what I
Robin
mean?
Roberts. Robin guessed it.
Thanks.
Plain as day.
Yeah.
I'll name names. Okay. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say it eventually, but I was gonna I was gonna like flirt with it and then rub its thigh and then eventually say it. But yeah, dude, I took a video of it and I watched it 75 times. And I thought there would be more hubbub about that, but everybody seemed to just accept it. Oh, shit. We lost him. We lost your audio, Dave.
AirPods might have died.
Yeah, his AirPods may have died.
I can't believe he just called it outright like that. I totally can believe that he did it, actually. Scott Malpass asks, will MPK ever let us see reaction times? No, because I don't think they even exist.
They don't even get a time slip.
They don't get a time slip. Nobody knows. Yeah.
Well, they do in the tower.
There he is.
There you go. Yeah, we can hear you.
There you're back. You're back.
Somebody tried calling me, so. Yeah, you can't bitch about it. You can't complain about it because they're not going to rerun it. So you might as well just let it go. But, I mean, it was plain as day. He guessed it. Congrats to him. He caught it green, and he got the win. But, like I said, you can still do it. It's just the window is way smaller now.
Well, like I said, I mean, you can do that on a regular tree. You can.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the truth is, trans brake cars actually can go red on a normal pro tree, with a pro brake, all those sort of things. It's possible. Pro stock cars can go red. They're revving up, dumping the clutch,
It's just hard to do knowing that, what if you do catch it red? You just throwed everything away.
Exactly.
And I swear 80% of the time when someone guesses, they either go red and then the guy in the other lane crosses or something stupid. Like, they just give it away. That's normally how it happens. You go red and the guy in the other lane just screws up, and you could have just drove down through there and beat him anyways. That just happened to me. Did you watch that, Wes, down in Ennis? So
which win was that?
I was racing Wayne in the probe.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Like, I sheared all the bolts off the blower drive, and I didn't have no boost, so he had me dead to rights. Like, he could have just.
And then he smoked the 330 cones or the 8th mile cones.
Yeah, he
crossed. And and his crew lost their mind because they're like, okay, we got one on Dave. We're taking out one of the big players here, and he's smoking cones. It was a rough deal.
Oh shit.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That wasn't that.
I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
No, that was at West Palm, right? So dude, I got to tell you, man, there's some, it is astonishing to me how dedicated this group of racers are, because I'm telling you, most guys tear their shit up like that, they're done for the season, or at
Watch
least for a
this.
while.
You see how that side's tore up? You see how the passenger side's tore up?
Yep.
I think this is the one to watch.
Maybe
that
over there
one.
toward the mark.
No, not the one. I thought he actually crossed over one of these and got the driver's side of the car too.
Really? Well, might as well have it match.
Yeah, might as well match. Yeah.
Oh, Ricochet Bird. That's what we call him.
Ricochet Bird. Here's your buddy right there, Larry Larson, Drag Week Zone. Yeah, I was surprised because, to be honest, I thought, I guess Drag Week's such a different environment. It's not really I mean, people are going to get all mad at me. I'm not saying it's not competitive, but it exists without side-by-side competition. Can we agree on that? And that it's more of a,
it's survival,
personal best type of racing, survival. And you're going, and when you don't have the pressure of that guy in the other lane, it's a different deal. And it's been interesting to see, because I think this is, now don't get me wrong, Larry's done plenty of street racing or whatever, and I know he's back in the day. Back in the day, when I was first meeting a lot of you guys, when that Nova of his was pink and had like a blown big block and a Linco in it, he street raced a lot in Kansas City. He was like a player in Kansas City. And I'm talking like in the early 2000s and late 90s. But I honestly thought he would be more successful out here than he's been. I really did. And I think that it was me shortchanging, to be honest. Like, if I gotta take this one on the chin, I think I was shortchanging the level of competition that exists amongst this group of guys. Like, how good of racers exist here, because I thought, you know what, here's a guy who's like raced NHRA Comp Eliminator, had some significant success in Drag Week, builds these high level cars, and I kind of thought he would be a force to be reckoned with in No Prep Kings. And I'm trying to be a dick or anything, but he's been anything but that, right?
Well, Drag Week is, what is that, 5-6 days?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I promise
5
you,
days.
this is way more grueling than Drag Week.
Yeah, it is.
The way you guys have to turn these things around is pretty incredible, really.
Yep. And he's struggling 100%. But that seems to be it's like it's a trend. Like, you'll struggle and then you'll do real good for a couple years, and then you're going to fall in that rabbit hole and you can't get out. It's a cycle. Everybody goes through it.
Absolutely.
100%.
Clay knows.
Oh yeah, 100%.
We all suck. Sooner or later, we're all going to suck, but then we're going back.
Yeah, drag racing is a brutal sport. We saw it this past weekend. Lyle Barnett posted on Facebook. I think he put from hero to zero. It's like literally Sunday you're holding a Wally, cheering, getting phone calls from the president or whatever, and then the following Friday you're like D and Q'd. You know what I mean? Like, you're going, well, we're screwed. We don't have a chance. It's just amazing how quickly it happens.
That's a roller coaster, and we all want it.
Yep. That's what I told y'all last week. We go back-to-back final rounds, go to Indy. We're out. First, right off the rip, done. It's part of it.
I'll give away Ennis. Look at Ryan Martin. He's won so many of these events, or he either goes to the finals or semifinals, and he got friggin' knocked out first round in Ennis. Like, it happens.
It can happen, man. How much do you think the team thing adds to what you guys do, Dave? Like, the Texas guys versus the OKC guys versus the NOLA guys. Do you think it reminds me of like soccer, where like people are waving the flag of their country? You know what I mean? Like, it just seems to get additional kind of buy-in. Do you like that?
I do. I like the whole team thing.
I do too.
And honestly, we're all there to help one another. Whether, of course, we all help Ryan try to win a championship. That's just the way it is. But if it was Sean or Lutz or anybody else at the top, we would all try to help them too.
Yeah.
So, and people like that.
Yeah.
And drama sells TV.
I was going to say it seems like a way to bring in some of the drama and flavor from the original show to the No Prep Kings, so that these people that have become such big fans of OKC or NOLA can get a little taste of that at these events too.
Sam by far is not dumb at all.
Right.
Like Sam knows how to make TV. Pilgrims know how to make TV. So you let them make TV and you let us race.
I think it's awesome, man. I wish there was a way to do it. Don't you think like it'd be cool to find a way to pull that off in like NHRA or PDR? Like it's like the times when I'm reminded of Big Dog Shootout at Piedmont Dragway when it was North versus South. Like that was one of the coolest races ever. It'd be cool to find a way. I don't know how to do it. Maybe it exists a little bit, Clay, in NHRA with like DSR versus Coletta versus Force versus the independent teams. It'd be cool. We need to sell, Clay. We got to do this for 2022. We need to get flags made for each kind of team. Are you like an independent team, or are you part of the DSR deal, or now TSR, Tony Stewart Racing? Don't you think?
Hey, for years, it's been my little group against the world. I've never been part of those. I call them factory teams. Me and you've had this conversation before,
yes.
You know. If you're part of the motocross world, you want to be on a factory team. Well, I'm that outside guy. I'm not part of their little clique, and they can have their little clique. I'll just keep doing what we're doing and being a pain in their butt every time we get up there.
I like it.
I like it. It does add something. I remember the first time I went to the Middle East. It was one of the guys, like a local to Qatar, was racing for the championship. And you'd have thought these people were going to burn the place down. Like, I mean, they're all waving Qatar flags. And I thought, you know what? The fact that they're like buying in and supporting their fellow countrymen, and like it was more about Qatar versus Bahrain than it was about racer A versus racer B. And I think that's what I see at play on Street Outlaws and No Prep Kings is it's like we see 405. I mean, Robert Roberts has like a gunfighter has like little 405s on his door. Like he's keeping track of any time he takes out one of those guys. So it's just, I don't know. I think it's an added element. It's that entertainment factor.
It is. I mean, it is.
Keenan Kelly says, Clay, you're one of the last gangsters of NHRA. Did you ever think you would get called a gangster of NHRA?
Palmer's the leader, though, he says.
Oh, yeah.
Scotty Palmer's out of control.
Oh, dude, he was there. Clay,
I know.
He was there.
It's
amazing. He was having a hell of a time. He was at No Prep Kings with his Pro Mod Corvette. I
broke that news last week right here on the show that he was.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. And I guess he put an automatic in it. He had a clutch in that car, just as God intended. But then they took it out and put like I don't know what's in it right now, like a Lenco drive or something. But he was having a hell of a time. Like he would kind of do a burnout and then he would just go on down the track. Or the one time that I think he like rolled it in and put it in the beams, it just died basically whenever he put it on the trans brake. So he was having a hard time with a new combination. But it was really cool to see him out there being a part of the scene. And it was a reminder to me for like all the people that bitch about not being able to get in or like, how do I get on the show or blah, blah, blah. It looks to me like all you got to do is show up. I mean, are you going to get on the show? I mean, no, probably not. But like anybody can enter Big Tire. There's no rules. None. Right. Like all you got to do is show up with a car that's got big tires and bars and you're in, probably pay $200 or something. And I mean, I got to tell you, that's what Callie Mills is doing, Dwayne Mills' daughter. I mean, they're not like, it's not some sort of developmental program. It's no like up and coming superstar deal. They're just entering Outlaw Big Tire.
Yep.
Like,
so I
got a lot of respect for it.
I think it's 100 to enter and 3,000 to win.
So we kind of danced around it a while ago, but it's been all over the internet. What does Stevie Fast have to do to show up? Like we seem to have danced around that while ago.
Why
I wanted to bring that up. I mean,
who brought his name up a while
nobody,
ago?
But that's who everybody
it's in the
was
comments
talking about 10 minutes ago.
Oh, I don't see no comment, so my bad.
No, you're good. I think, to be honest with you, Clay, And I mean, obviously Dave is the expert here, but I think all he's got to do is show up. I mean, he's going to have to earn his stripes.
Yeah, you can't
or
just let him
whatever.
in. You can't just let him in the main stage. I mean,
Well, that's what
but
I'm
everybody's
asking.
going to earn it,
I don't know
right?
how it works.
Yeah, no, you're not gonna. He's not gonna show up and be like, "Hey, I want to run an invitational for 40 grand."
Right.
Not gonna happen.
And it probably shouldn't be that way anyway, right?
Right? No, hell no. We put in 13 years in this deal.
Yeah.
Right.
We've
Jeff,
sacrificed our asses off it.
Jeff talked about that last week, how the original guys are kind of, I don't want to say grandfathered in, but anyone that wants to come race this deal moving forward they've got to race their way in. They've got to go through the ranks, go through the Future Street Outlaws deal. They're not just, doesn't matter who you are, they're not just going to let you in.
Right. No, and I've been there since day one.
Right.
I crashed my car. I missed a lot of races. I don't have the points to run an invitational, so guess what I got to do? I got to race my way in. I do it every week. Like they just don't say, "Oh, it's Daddy Dave, we should let him in." No, I got to earn my way in.
Right.
And if Stevie Fast thinks he's just going to show up and be like, "Hey, I'm here," somebody last year made a bad mistake of saying, "Hey, Sam, just tell me the amount I need to write down the check."
Oh shit.
To you to let me in, and well, that person won't get in ever. And if you think Sam Corgus can be bought, you've lost your mind.
That's cool.
I believe it.
That's
I
the guy,
saw
that's
it
the
in
guy
his
you
eyes,
want.
man.
Yeah, that's the gatekeeper you want on this deal, then, for sure.
Well, and Dave, this is my like go-to example, and I've said it a lot, but I think it's worth repeating, is that like Vince McMahon, you're never, ever, ever going to see Vince McMahon like for Monday Night Raw go out to the ring and say, "Hey, does anybody from the crowd want to come in here and try on John Cena for size?" You're never going to see that because there's some good old boy that's going to climb the top rope and mop the floor with John Cena. Like that's just going to happen. Probably wearing like, overalls and Red Wing work boots. And you have to protect your stars. You're never, ever, ever. I mean, he's invested. You guys are invested. There's no chance he's going to let some random dude show up and just clean house. And I'm not saying that Stevie would do that, but you can't even allow it to be a possibility. And I think if I'm Stevie and and I want that opportunity, I'd start showing up and being a thorn in their side. That's what I would
have to do. He'd have to choose. He'd have to choose. Do you want to go pro mod racing, or do you want to try to get on here? Because, I mean, Sam's we've said all night how smart he is. I mean, he's the character. He's a character at the track. He's fun to talk to. He'd be great. He'd be great on the show. But you got to show up and pay your dues, I think, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think Stevie Fast is great for TV. He's an awesome character, and could he make it on there? There's a possibility he could. Look at Little Country. That kid ain't got half the money, ain't got a quarter of the money that Stevie Fast has, and that kid has put in the time and the work, and look where he's at.
It's true. Yeah.
So it can.
Here
be
he
done.
is right now.
You just ain't got.
Yeah, here he is versus Mike Murillo. Yep.
Yeah.
So is this E1 murder?
I don't know.
It just showed.
I think what's interesting is obviously we know that he goes on to win this race, and we know who won this weekend's race. What's the official stance, Dave, as far as them allowing results to be published from NPK? Did they kind of have to sort of compromise after the first couple of years and know that with all these people there and with the media that it's going to get out? So just kind of allow it and then get that pop and then get a second pop when the show airs? Or what's the official thought on that from the inside?
I don't know. At first, they didn't want the live feeds and all that other stuff on social media. But, man, there's a kid, no prep felons. He's in the stage, or he's in the bleachers every race.
Yeah.
It's live.
Yep.
You're not going to stop it, unfortunately. So I think Sam.
It's how I watch the finals, admittedly. I mean, I watched the finals from his, you know what I mean? My leg was killing me. I had to go home. And I'm like, oh, shit, this dude's live.
Well,
and I mean, I got to watch the whole race. Yeah.
It just seems like something that's evolved over time. I think at first they tried to contain it, but then they realized that was probably a losing battle. But I just wonder, are they happy with that? Or is it still something they wish they could control a little more, or what?
No, I think they're okay with it because honestly, social media is 2, maybe 3% of viewership.
Right.
So it's really not that big of a picture.
It's kind of your
It's-
hardcore
it's
guys.
negligible.
watching
Yeah,
it.
it's the
Yeah.
hardcore. It's
Yeah.
the hardcore people that want the instant results and want to treat it more like a race. But like you said, to open the show, this is a show first and a race second.
Yep, because I guarantee you there's thousands and thousands of people watching this right now that have no clue it was on live feed as it was happening. So,
But then you've got like the people whenever we post about it as DI or ourselves personally, like, thanks, jerk, for the spoilers.
Yeah,
or whatever.
spoiler alert.
I'm like, man, you're going to need to get off the internet, delete that Facebook account or something, because, I'm not sure how you're going to avoid this.
you can't. You absolutely can't. Unless you, delete it. Stay off Facebook. Like
Yeah,
I haven't
delete
been on
those
there.
apps.
I was on Facebook long enough to promote the next race in Louisiana because of who won this past weekend. Like you got to stay off the internet for 4 or 5 days because you know that family and you know how they are. And just all day blowing it up, blowing it up, blowing it up. So you stay off the internet for 4 or 5 days. It'll pass.
I do that when the Chiefs lose. Like I won't even turn Sports Center or NFL Network on. Like
You don't want to hear it.
I'm
Good
over
strategy.
for 2 days. Yeah.
Man, that 55, I love this 55, Jerry Jansen. That is a good looking car. It's just awesome. And to see it against like Ryan Martin's car,
West
it's like
Coast guy,
double.
right? Yeah.
It's like double the size of Ryan's car. I love it.
Yeah.
I get a kick out of how many cars get out there and slow shake the tires. Like get out there and aren't aggressive enough. It's very surprising. Like you never would think you'd see that in this deal ever.
Well, I've seen a couple, especially guys, high horsepower cars. I think I saw Larry's car. Dave, your car looks like spinning the tires on the top end. I know on this deal, they've got a wing. Don't they have a wing rule as far as how much rake you can have on the wing or angle, how much wicker bill?
Yeah.
So does that vary track to track? Have you guys seen some tracks get extremely tight, or some tracks you guys are spinning the tires on the top end?
Man, me and a handful of us, me and Ryan mainly, we struggled our asses off this weekend in the middle of the track. Like it was just horrible for us. And I grudge raced Ryan, and I'm sure he'll post a video or I can. But we're side by side down through there and just get in the middle and the car moves around. And in Little Country, I raced him in the third round, I guess it was. Third or fourth round, I raced Little Country. And it was the same thing. Get in the middle, makes a move to the wall. It just varies from track to track, but this one the middle was tough.
Yeah, it looks like it. It looks more so. It looks like it was maybe the weather. This was earlier in the year, or actually somewhat in the summer, so it could just be the heat. But I've heard that the track actually holds up better to the heat because there's no glue.
There's no glue on it.
Right.
Yeah. That actually makes a lot of sense, man.
It's more of a solid base. It's not. It doesn't. A glue track or whatever at night comes in, and during the day is obviously much more loose. But I've heard it's more consistent as time goes on. Like Friday night, it's very loose, but then by Saturday night, the semis and final round, it's as tight as you can get.
Yes and no. Like most tracks, any track in the heat of the day is going to be a mess. But when the sun goes down, it cools off. Yeah, they all tighten up and get really, really good. But for some reason, NS, it didn't. Like in the middle, it still was shitty all day.
Dude, I mean, I couldn't get over. Like your car did it, went over and like moved a full car, like a car width over. And like and I'm going, man, these things are. It was a hell of a show. How much street racing still happens, Dave?
None.
None.
Not for me. I don't. We're just way too busy with this to do anything. Now, don't get me wrong. Every chance I get, I'm in my twin turbo S10 out playing. But as far as the big cars and stuff, for one, we don't have time, and for two, man, if I tear that thing up on the street and can't make a paycheck next weekend, it's kind of dumb.
Well, that's what I was just getting ready. The reason I asked that, Dave, is because I think we got like a hell of a crowd watching. And it's like, I don't think people maybe understand. You said something that I thought was really interesting at the beginning before we went live. You mentioned that like you drive your truck and trailer to all these races personally. And I was giving you a hard time saying, oh man, you should be hiring somebody to do that. And you said very matter of factly, I mean, who can you trust? This is that I make my living with this car. And I just thought that was profound. And I think people need to hear that like this is how you make your living now.
Yeah.
I mean,
100%.
that's unbelievable, man.
I left my house Tuesday afternoon, went to Kansas City, picked up a new set of cylinder heads, went over and had dinner with Bob and Jen, the guys that built my car, and then drove straight to Jefferson City, Missouri, and got a hotel room. Wednesday night,
right down the road from me.
Right. Tuesday night, got up Wednesday morning. I was at M&M Transmission till 4. Drove home. I pulled in my driveway at like 11 o'clock Wednesday night. Put the training in, put cylinder heads on, loaded the car, loaded the RV, loaded the apparel trailer, and drove to Ennis. Like, I didn't sleep at all. And I drive my stuff everywhere. I have to. There's 2 people I trust with a car, and one of them is driving my RV, and the other one passed away like 3 weeks ago.
Oh no!
Oh,
so
I'm sorry, Dave.
My father-in-law, I trusted that. He's a truck driver his whole life. Like, I trusted him with everything, and to me, what's in that trailer is everything to me. It provides for my family.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I trusted him with it.
Yeah, sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah, man.
I'm sorry to hear that, man. I had no idea.
Yep.
But I think it kind of like makes this stuff hit home, Dave. Like, I think a lot of times that it's easy for people to think that you're a big famous TV guy and someone's hauling the car to you and you're flying in on a private plane or whatever. Well, real quick, what's your drink of choice? What the hell are you drinking with Sprite?
Busted me.
You got that Crown Apple.
Sprite Crown Apple. Okay. I was wondering what the drink
Sprite
of choice is.
Yeah.
And Clay's over here having like
KFC.
vitamin infused water.
KFC soda. There we go.
I didn't know.
Sweet tea.
I didn't know y'all could see that. I was trying to hide that whole deal.
You don't have to hide it around here.
Yeah. You're still 12 behind JT, wherever you started.
Well, we all know
So
JT's rule. You can't drink all day unless you start in the morning.
That's
exactly the rule to go by.
Clay's been paying attention.
Yeah,
100%.
Clay's been paying attention.
that's right. Life's a fun factory. We're all just clocking in.
Saudi Arabia about did murder Tundra in.
Yeah.
He almost didn't go, Clay, because it's a dry country. In case
when I told him that there was no alcohol, then tell him what else you found out that they don't have over there. You can say it. It's the
I
internet.
can say it. They don't have alcohol.
Yeah.
They don't have porn. They don't have nothing. I mean, what the hell do they do? They sit around and drink coffee all day long. And then
Yeah,
you got
where is that?
Screaming at him like,
Saudi Arabia.
Americano. You know?
We all went to Saudi Arabia together in 2019. And, yeah, we learned a lot about the world that week.
Oh my God.
We did.
It was something else.
No porn and no alcohol in Saudi Arabia?
No.
None.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Well, and
all
where
the
we were at,
coffee, sweets. What else did they have in abundance?
dude, it's coffee. Like, I got to my hotel room. No shit, Daddy Dave. Like, I got to my hotel room, and I think I called you guys. I'm like, well, what do we do now? I mean, like, usually, you go check in, and then everybody meets down at the lounge or whatever, and we're like, well, what do we do now? And then so I met Mike down in the lobby, and we all got coffees. I'm like,
I guess we're gonna drink coffee. I don't know.
Yeah, and then Richard Freeman came down, and he was like screaming. I'm like, this doesn't taste right. He's like, American.
Oh, Wes, I figured it out. This ain't coffee. It's espresso.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, that's like really strong coffee, Richard. No, it's espresso. I'm like, okay, whatever.
That's the last person that needs strong coffee.
Yeah,
that dude is.
Oh my God.
After about the third day, he came downstairs and said, is y'all stomachs torn up? My stomach is torn up. And I've been ordering coffee. And it turns out when you say coffee here, it's just an espresso shot.
No. Espresso.
Yeah, espresso. We said, no, Richard, you need to order Americano. Dude, that's what you're looking for.
They were hilarious over there. They were hilarious. Like I just sit and watch those guys all day long anyway. But we had all these cars over and people were coming over. Like one guy literally tried to trade me his Camel for one of the cars. And yeah. And Royce came over and got rid of that guy real quick. Just don't even look at it. Just don't even look at it. Just
not today.
Yeah, not today. Yeah,
not today.
Oh my God, those guys are hilarious. But,
man, I bet it was rough for Mike Bowman to get walked on by that Lumina.
Ooh.
Yeah, guaranteed. Was he? He's ProCharger in this one, right?
No, I think he's still a turbo deal, right?
Yeah,
man,
that's been a pretty new change.
That shocked me when he showed up and you could hear his car. I was like, what happened?
Hey, question. Why don't you take us through that, Dave? Because you're a guy who switched from turbos to a ProCharger. So, like, can you give us some of your thought process behind that and like what you were trying to accomplish or what you feel you've accomplished by switching from twin turbos to the ProCharge deal?
Yes. So I listened to everybody and went twin turbo. I was ProCharge, blow through carbureted ProCharge, and then we went to Fuel Tech and ProCharger, and it ran about I went with a carburetor and a fuel injection, and everybody's like, twin turbos, make all the horsepower you want. And I was like, cool, let's do it. So we put twins on that thing. Sure enough, it makes north of 4,000 horsepower on Fuel Tech's dyno. We went down there, dynoed it, made all the horsepower you wanted. I'm like, hell yeah, we're gonna go fast. So that thing, you could run 4.0 to 413, and it would go 199 mile an hour. Like it just had all the mile an hour you wanted, but it would only fastest that car ever went was 4.0. And got talking to ProCharger again, and okay, we developed this ProCharger, and it's mean, and of course Ryan had already went that route and tested. And I knew what his 60-foot times was and his 330 because that's where ProChargers shine. But he's down like 8 mile an hour from the turbo deal. But he gets it done early, so I was like, you know what, hell with it. So 4.0, 4.0, 4.0 with the twins. We bolt the ProCharger on this thing with a Hemi and let go of the button. It goes 380s.
Wow.
So now with the weight rules and stuff, and if I could afford it, I'd have a big cubic inch nitrous motor in this thing.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Hey, you were nitrous first before you went to twin turbo.
Yeah, Wes, man. Like, what's from your mouth to God's ears, brother? Right? That's what we got.
I know.
Slide that in
that's we need Daddy Dave with a big nitrous motor. That would be fantastic.
Man,
I'm a nitrous guy and
a clutch.
There you go. That'd be awesome. Yeah, ain't happening. Yeah, ain't happening on this deal.
It's way too busy on this no prep thing. Like you're in there driving, you can't. There's too much going on.
That's a Wes Buck thing. That's the reason I said that. I was waiting on him to say he got goosebumps.
Oh, I know. Oh my God.
Close. Well, my wife showed me earlier on one of the Bravo housewife shows. They do a drinking game. And at the beginning of the show, they put a thing up on the screen that this is the word of the day. And they don't, I think maybe they don't tell the host.
They don't.
Or whatever. Okay. So I think next Monday night, I'll close my eyes and you guys pick a word. And next Monday night, we'll do our first ever drinking game on the Drag Illustrated Ride Along.
I don't know if I got enough alcohol for that.
If you pick Goosebumps or Your Mouth to God's Ears or something, we're done. Yeah, we're going to have to go to the hospital.
Your Mouth to God's Ears. I only do that 1 or 2 times a show. 1 or 2 times a show is Your Mouth to God's Ears,
Swinging and ducking. I got a bunch of them. I got a list over here on the wall. I just can't show you right now.
Shut up, JT. JT, enough. JT, shut it. Hey, how fast was that S10? Now that we're talking elapsed times, how fast was the Sonoma?
Man, you want me
to like that track?
You want me to hurt everybody's feelings?
Yeah, I want to know how fast that thing was.
490s.
Oh, come on. You gotta give me a little bit more than that, Clay. Fastest that thing ever went, 632 I put 4,100 pounds per hour nitrous through it. So it's just over 1,000 horsepower worth of nitrous. And it would go 472, 473. It's fastest that thing ever went.
That's badass, man. That is getting it.
Yeah.
That is
back
getting
then,
it. I think I
fast.
fell in love with this show when you did a burnout on like an exit ramp to make a test hit in one of the early, and I'm like, this guy's my kind of guy. Like,
Yep.
I mean, I know this is horrible or whatever, and I know we're not supposed to cheer these guys on, but I was in love at that point. Like, my first hot rod was an S10, so I've always had like a soft spot for little trucks.
You should have seen it. It had stacks out the back and everything, Dave.
Oh, no, it didn't. Shut up.
I'll tell you what, though, that freaking Sonoma was so pretty leaving. Like, that thing was a cool looking. The way it left, it was just so cool looking, and light the headers up and just freaking roll.
Yeah, and honestly, that's what I miss about it. The big candles, banging it through the motor, all that dumb stuff that you're not supposed to do nowadays. That's what I miss.
I know, right?
I tell you what, that's the worst thing to happen
100%.
to nitrous cars right now, like fuel injection and not being able to test fire the systems. Like, there was a handful of guys that were at the track this weekend, and it just took me back. Like, you know, which were like clearly single carburetor nitrous deals, or, you know, and you're like, wow, and I'm like, this is how it's supposed to be. I mean, it makes me think of like Mike Hill and Steve Kirk Jr. and Marcus Burt in the early days, and all these dudes with nitrous big motors, Jack Barfield. And that was like, I don't know, that was like the song of the drag races, is you'd hear him test fire. I mean, it was, I don't know, that I missed that really bad.
I love it. Like Jamie Hancock and all those guys, I could watch those guys all night long because they got the big candles, and you know when that motor's eating itself, like that pretty blue starts turning orange, and then it goes green, and then you're like, oh, here it comes.
Yeah.
You know, that boom.
Little spark shower out the headers, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Did Jamie sell that, or is he selling that? He sold that car, or selling it, or trying to sell it?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think he's trying to sell it.
Well, he's ran that a long time.
Yes. The Sonoma was more of a challenge. Like Jackie, of course, he owned it, Jackie and Shelley, and I love those guys to death. And it was more of a challenge because, Clay, you know about weight percentages. That thing was 59% on the nose.
Wow.
Like, it was horrible.
I believe it.
And a few guys from Midwest Street Cars, not naming names, but they said, man, you might as well take a rope and try to push it down the road. And I'm like, okay, well, let's try that. And I got it to work. That thing would hang the wheels 300 foot, and it would haul ass.
You were their kryptonite for quite a while. I mean,
for a while.
Yeah, you really put it to them, and then they really struggled once you got out of that ride. Like, it seemed like anything that could happen to go wrong, it did with that truck after that.
Yeah, and bless his heart. Like, Jackie's got a heart the size of Texas, and it's just, he struggled with it bad with the whole nitrous thing. And it's tough, and everybody thought, well, you had it easy. Jackie paid for everything. You just burned it up, and, you know, it got fixed, and you just got to drive it. Not the case. Like, I busted my ass on that truck every night. You know, we'd burn that thing up, and cash day is on Friday, and I'd show up at Morgan & Sons with the whole truck, unload it, you know, Bud in there shaking his head, and we'd rebuild the son of a bitch and be back up there Saturday night. Like, it was a lot of work, and it didn't just get done. Like I did, these hands did it.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't all Jackie's money that went into the deal.
Right.
So it's just the internet. That's how the internet goes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was
Clay,
fun.
I know we're going to lose you before long.
Yes.
Real quick, you got a little taste of no prep this weekend in Bristol. I know you probably don't want to say anything, and I get it. Okay, but like your car in the first round, I don't know that I've ever seen a car recover like your car recovered. You pedaled it in the first round of eliminations. It had a hole out, it looked like, and it cleaned up after you pedaled it, but then it went into like a power wheelie, bounced around. Can you take me through a little bit of that?
I don't know if y'all can see this. Can you see that?
Yes, we can. Let's make here. I got it.
Here, I got it. You got it. Okay.
Yep.
Oh,
so that is not a power wheelie. That is not a power wheelie. That is how bad. And I'm gonna say this first. Like, I love Bristol Dragway. It is my favorite racetrack in the entire world. You know what I've what happened to me and my family there is by far the greatest thing ever. I don't care what I win from.
For those that don't know, like Clay Millican, it was probably I would argue, one of the most celebrated moments in drag racing history. Clay Millican scores his first NHRA Top Fuel win not too far on Father's Day weekend, the same year that he lost his son, a superhero to many of us, Dalton. So I want those. There are people, surprisingly, that maybe don't know that how much that track means to you to score your first top NHRA Top Fuel win on Father's Day in Bristol. So just to preface it.
Yep. So with that being said, how much I love that place, how much it means to me, the track is really, really bad. So that photo right there, someone sent that to me on Facebook, and I watched the video from first round, but the track has gotten, I don't know if you want to call it whoops or wavy or whatever you want to call it, but the cars were an incredible handful to drive. I mean, it's bad. Like
is that resulting in the tunnel, or what else is going on there?
It starts with the tunnel, and it just kind of goes from there. But in qualifying, the car carried the front end a pretty good ways. But that run from that photo right there, it's coming up on the 330 and past the 330, the tunnel. So well over 200 miles an hour for near 250 feet. The front end was not on the ground. It's crazy. Like,
that's why the guy earlier said you're the gangster of NHRA.
I told Mike on the radio in the shutdown, I said, I thought this thing might blow over, and I mean, it wasn't like it was so high that I was going to blow it over, but I have done that. I know that feeling of, weightlessness, I guess you would call it, from the front end being off the ground for so long. And then you got a guy named Jacob Elbrod, former world champion in Super Gas, who said he won the race in Super Gas this weekend at Bristol. He said he felt like he was driving a funny car every round, running 990s. I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to be like Daddy Dave. I'm going to say names. I sent a text to Angel, and she may get mad, I'll tell you this, but I congratulated her on winning. And she said, thank you, and I'm glad we're done. Could you, you can imagine on a bike what was going on, and I love that place, but yes, we I think we didn't go there last year, and I think the track's just settled more, whatever's going on, but it's pretty bad. It really, really is, and I hope they fix it, because again, it's a beautiful track. It's my favorite one in the world, but it was a handful, no two ways about it. I mean, You
talk about Bristol?
Yeah.
That track, I love that track. It's
me too.
Beautiful.
Me
but
too.
yes,
but
I don't think you saw your picture, Clay. I don't think you saw your picture.
We'll do it again here.
Yeah, here, show him.
Oh, go the other. There you go.
Jesus.
So Dave,
So
that's not a power wheelie. That's the bump at over 200 miles an hour.
The tunnel is underneath, right?
Yep. It starts there and just continues.
That was an issue for us when we were out there. When we ran that first snow prep out there. Yeah, like that was the
big money race, right?
Issue.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That was an issue for everybody. It was that bump, and it was worse in the right lane than it was in the left lane. I think it was.
Yep. And I actually griped the week before. There's a pretty good bump at Dallas, which Dave, y'all wouldn't have to deal with because it was about 800 feet, but you had to deal with it in the shutdown. I don't know if you could feel it, but dragster, you can put the front wheel up and it kind of tells you what the track's doing. If the graph is nice and gradual, pretty smooth racetrack. If it's got this going on, bumpy racetrack. It's pretty self-explanatory, and I did ask NHRA to come look at it, and I'll tell you they did, but they're not the ones that own the racetrack, and all they can do is make recommendations. But we all know that SMI owns the most beautiful racetracks everywhere, pretty much. Their facilities are all top notch. And same thing did happen at Denver. Denver, excuse me. I was thinking about beautiful racetracks, but Vegas, it had a tunnel problem. They fixed it. And I certainly hope, after this weekend, they'll do the same thing at Bristol.
And more timing issues this past weekend too, right? A few more timing snafus this past weekend as well.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on. I mean, that we talked about it at ZMAX, like you said. SMI has the most beautiful facilities in the world, but I don't know with this tunnel design and with some of the timing issues going on. Obviously, if anybody's going to address it quickly, it's probably going to be them.
Definitely. No doubt. But I do love the place. We had a decent weekend. It was just wild and crazy. I think a lot of the massive engine explosions first round probably can be tied into those bumps as well. If it's picking the front end up, it's probably picking the back end up too. And man, there was some major freaking explosions.
Oh yeah, because that zings the motor up.
Yep.
A lot of racing this last weekend. My gosh.
Holy shit, man. Jeez. It was so hard to follow it, like in a good way. I found myself yesterday afternoon going like, this is what a great problem to have. Like there's so much racing going on that it's like hard to consume it all. I mean, you got Donald Long's deal, No Mercy. That's obviously going off. You got PDRA World Finals at Virginia, No Prep Kings, Dallas. It's, coming down to the last few races. Then you've got, of course, NHRA and Bristol right at the end of the countdown. We've only got a couple races left. And it's like, this is a lot of racing.
It was a lot.
It was a lot, but it was actually kind of,
it's cool honest, though.
I think it was cool.
And I want to add to that, Wes, real quick. So there was a couple of bracket races going on that had over 400 cars at each of them.
Wow.
That's crazy.
I mean, it's and if you look at the stands, like Bristol had a hell of a good crowd, right? A very good crowd. PDRA had a great crowd. No Prep Kings was bonkers. I was insane. And I saw some pictures from Donald's race. John Ford III, our longtime senior photographer here at Drag Illustrated, he was down there. He sent me that place was packed out. So I'm going, you know what? This is a good weekend for drag racing. Like that's,
mid-October.
Really impressive.
That's when you're trying to have a drag race. You pinpoint that on the calendar. Mid-October, that's the date you want.
Yep. Well, guys,
what's going on here? Oh, hey, Clay, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate it. Let's everybody watching this deal tip your cap to Clay. He literally drove all across the country today to get home. And then I texted him earlier. I said, hey, man, can we count on you tonight for the ride along? And he's like, send me the link. I'm there. And so thank you, Clay, so much, brother. I appreciate it.
So what I got to do is I got to go get the toter home out of the road and parked where it's supposed to go. And I got to do that before the neighbors get too mad. But thank y'all.
Man, thank you, Clay.
Thank you, brother.
See you guys.
See you, Clay.
See you, Clay.
Thank you. I'll see you soon.
Y'all.
He's so awesome, isn't he?
I love that dude. Yep.
He's a great guy, man.
He is
such a good dude. I'm hoping. I mean, yes, 100%. I'm really, truly hoping that, like, everything lines up. The NHRA needs him to win a lot. Like, he's a superstar. He's great for our sport. People love him. He's verbose, well-spoken. I mean, we need him in front of a camera as much as we can possibly get him.
And so willing to put himself out there.
Who do you best in NHRA?
He does this show, but he does his own stuff too.
That's what we talk about all the time: is putting yourself on a platform and sharing yourself and sharing your life basically with everybody. Dave does it week in, week out on this show, but yeah, Clay's been really he's taken the bull by the horns, I guess you could say, with his YouTube channel and everything else, and that's good to see. We talk about all the time that a lot of these guys they won't do it. And, with all these platforms that are available today, grab a hold of it and do it.
I started my own YouTube thing just because it seems to be, I talked Sean into it months ago. I heard YouTube's, growing thing, blah, blah, blah. And I said, Sean, Sean's got an awesome social media guy, like Phantom. He's great. He's a crew guy and he's a camera guy. He's a social media guy. And Sean's YouTube took off. So I started one, of course, and, that's totally different. Like you're actually inviting people into your shop out here, into your personal stuff. It's not the TV thing. And you just show them everything behind the TV show.
People love that.
It's way different. Yeah, they do.
What's your feedback been from that so far?
It's been great. I mean, I think we're over 40,000 viewers and, people just love it. The whole comment to do this, do that. They just want to see what you do on a daily basis for some reason.
Well, and you know,
I'm
Dave,
wide
I think
open.
this is important. You are, and I think it's important to touch on this because you mentioned earlier, like working on the Sonoma, like not only the thing that I think I wish people in our drag racing community would hear is that, yeah, you've got to be the guy that's willing to go work on the car. But the other thing that the group from Street Outlaws that I see, what you guys are willing to do is also put yourself out there and create this content and deal with the haters and all that stuff. And a whole lot of people are happy to go work on their car. They love working on their car, but it's not so easy to, like, to your point, shoot a video and let everybody kind of see the not so glamorous stuff and then deal with all the comments or whatever. I mean, because you're going to get a whole lot of positive ones, but you're also going to get the guy that tells you you're stupid or you're doing this wrong or whatever. How hard has that been for you? Because you seem like a guy who's always had thick skin, but like, how hard has that been to continually put yourself out there?
Man, it's extremely hard because of that fact. You think you're doing good and you think you're doing right, and then you got that guy that's just beating you down for it. And 5 years ago, I let it bother me, and I don't anymore. Like I do my thing. If you like it, friggin' awesome. Tell me. If you hate it, well, tell me that too, because honestly, it don't matter either way. I'm gonna still do things. I'm 48 years old. You're not gonna change me. I'm very hard-headed, and I will do things my way. And as long as it gets done, who cares if it was done right or wrong? There's
Right.
100 ways to skin a cat, and the end result is it gets skinned. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So yeah, you got to deal with that shit, and it's hard. And sometimes I'll be sitting around bored, and I'll get on social media, and I will entertain that guy like that.
I've seen you do it, yeah.
That says something
Yeah.
bad. And I just did it like today. I think it was this morning. I read something that says, "How many times are you gonna let somebody punch you in the nose before you defend yourself?" And I'm like, okay, well, who punched me in the nose? Because I promise you, ain't nobody ever hit me in the face. And it was like, oh, I meant threatening to punch you in the face. Well, that's a little different. So you just call them out on their bullshit. They start backpedaling a little bit, and then you're like, okay, it'll only take one person, and then I'm going to lose my shit, and then everybody see the asshole that I really am. You just deal with it. If you don't have thick skin, stay off the internet.
Yeah.
That's the truth, man. We got a fan
no
of Brian Hellman is asking, Dave, how's Bodie's new car? I only saw it maybe make one pass this weekend. Is that the blue Camaro?
It is, and it's me and Sean talked about it, and me and Sean have the same outlook on the color blue. Blue don't belong on a race car, but I promise you, Bodie's car is beautiful.
I agree.
Beautiful. It is nice, and I got a spot for Bodie anyways. Bodie's the one that gave me the car I have right now. I was still in the hospital from the wreck in Amarillo. I was still in the hospital, and he, if nobody knows that story, he called me when I was in the hospital, and he said, "Hey, where do you want this car delivered?" And I said, "What car?" And he said, "I'm sending you a Chevy 2. I started building it. It's caged. It's a rolling car. Where do you want it delivered?" And I was like, "Well, how much you want for it?" And he hung up on me. And I called him back, and we talked a little bit, and I said, "How much you want for it?" And he hung up on me. Like, he wouldn't take a dime for it. And I told him the last time I talked to him, I said, "Hey, if you're not going to tell me what you want for it, call your guys, tell them to turn around, take it back to Cali." I was like, "I want nothing for free." He don't listen. So when I got home from the hospital, it was actually at my shop. So
that's awesome.
Me and Bodie go.
Holy shit. What a story.
Amazing.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. I did not know that. That's amazing.
Yeah. So me and Bodie go way back, and he gave me the car I have now. And I've raced him. I've raced him a few times for money on the show and off the show, and I've beat him, and he won't even let me pay him. Or I won't let him pay me. That's what it was. I beat him, and he come over to hand me money, and I'm like, piss off. Like, I don't want your money. You gave me a car. That's where I'm at today with it. So, no, you're not paying me anything. But his new car, it's top notch. Like, Bodie's smart, and he don't half-ass nothing I mean, it's a really nice car and it's beautiful.
It's amazing, man.
I think
What
I
round are
raced
we
him
in,
in
JT?
Tulsa.
Beats
Of
me.
this, like Tulsa a week ago?
7 beers? I don't know. No, I'm joking.
This is
So this is a pretty big matchup right here,
Yeah,
right?
this is,
Justin Swanstrom versus Ryan Martin. Okay, round 2, race 5, so it's the second round of action. Okay, here we go. Swanstrom's in second. Both left clean. Swanstrom driving away right here. That was a great race.
Yeah.
Look at them go bananas. Big Country, Corey Swanstrom. Oh, man, there's some disgust right there. What do they say? Who is that? Who is that? Let's go. Doing the Tom Brady, I'm telling you, man. You like when they leave clean like that, you know? Like, I don't like that guess at the light shit. I think that's the only downside of what y'all are doing right now is I wish there was, and I'm glad they've kind of narrowed, like you said earlier, narrowed the window because the racing is so good, it doesn't deserve to have to deal with that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a way for people to kind of downplay it or say something negative, and the racing's too good. We've been fortunate. HP Tutors has a good looking logo.
When we were talking about haters earlier, like, you know, there's several racers at PRI and whatnot that, you know, that might have talked some stuff, you know, but man, as soon as, like, say at the DI after hours party, you know, when several of the guys showed up, man, there was tons of them wanting to get their pictures taken with y'all though, so you post on their social media. You know, I mean, you know.
Right.
It is funny, man, because everybody wants to hate, but it's like, hey, man, can we get a photo real quick? Yeah. You know, so that people know that I know you.
Yeah.
Oh, it's awesome.
We talk about that a lot, Dave. That we walk around.
We do, man.
You know, and people are like, "Oh, you're in drag racing, right? You know the Street Outlaw guy?
Yeah.
You know,
that's the first question, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's what we get a lot.
Me and Sean had the honor to go to Brazil a couple years ago.
Oh, I remember that.
There's a couple of people in the comments mentioning that or that know you from that experience.
Brazil?
Yeah.
Amazing. Those people over there are the greatest. Not one bad word from anybody. Everybody's super nice. And we put 60,000 asses in that racetrack. It was amazing.
That is awesome.
You went with Anderson from Fuel Tech, right?
What's that?
Did you go with Anderson from Fuel Tech, Anderson and Luis?
Yep.
That's what I thought. Yep. Where is that track? In Sao Paulo or whatever?
Damn, you would have to say it.
Mike can say it correct.
Velopack is the track.
Well, that place looks awesome. It looks awesome.
Nice
and
track.
It looks like everything's got a rotary, like a 13B rotary motor in it.
Or
it's hilarious.
6-cylinder, yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Huge following over there.
I see Don Will in here.
Don Will.
I was going to try to get Don Will on the show tonight.
Man.
Yeah, we'll get him next Monday.
Yeah, not with me. We'd have to turn the volume way down. That man talks loud. Are we talking about the guy from Tropical Thunder?
From the starting line. There he is. He's holding his hand up in the comments. That's him.
Yeah, he is.
I think it's crazy that Dean Carnes is, you know, for the people that don't realize this, like Disco Dean, like, yeah, he's become a real character, but this was a big money bracket racing guy who just saw the writing on the wall, who just said, you know what, this is where the action is. I'm going all in, and it has clearly paid off for him. You know, I mean, he's part of
kind
the
of funny
scene
too.
Now. Yeah, he is, right?
Too.
I remember seeing that car. That car was at PRI a few years ago, Wes. You remember that? I think before any of this ever happened or took off, he debuted that car. I remember that deal. It was in a booth at PRI. I forget. I don't think he built that car for this series originally. I could be wrong.
I don't know. I know that I can't remember who it was, but I bumped into somebody and they're like, hey man, he was always, you know, doing big money bracket racing stuff. and just realized that, hey, all the action is headed towards these. And it was actually leading up to the first American Outlaws Live at Ennis, actually at the Motorplex. And whatever it was, like 75,000 to win. And all these no prep races were popping up all over the country. And guys were, building cars. It's hard to really, it's hard to argue it. I don't blame anybody that would dive into this scene right now. However, I think people are going to be, it's a little bit of a rude awakening, because I think that there's a whole group of people out there that don't understand these cars are like fast cars. This is not your dad's street racing,
No. And if you're smart, like if you've been around drag racing long enough, you know how fast these cars are just by watching them. So, yeah, it's crazy. Like
Disco Dean, the bathroom destroyer.
If you don't run into the threes, you're going to have a really, really hard time.
Which is so crazy.
That is crazy. That is crazy.
It's insane, dude.
Not saying you can't go rounds with 4 O's and 4 teens, but at the end of the night, you better be able to lay one down.
How good is that track at the end of the night? We had Jeff hit on that a little bit.
They normally get pretty good.
Pretty good.
Like, I don't think you can make Ennis bad. I don't think you can make South Georgia bad. Like, there's just too many racing and too much glue put down on the tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Tulsa.
I'm going to steal from Clay. Clay has a podcast that he does, and for anybody that's watching, Clay Millican, it's Tuesday nights during the off season. He doesn't do it during the race season, which I'm working on. I would like to see him bring it back. But one of his like patented questions, Dave, is king for a day. If you were Sam Corcus and you were running No Prep Kings, what would you change, or what is the thing that you would do if you were making all the decisions? I'm just curious. Nothing? Anything?
I wouldn't do nothing, man. I think we got a good thing going.
That's so
awesome.
Cool to hear.
That is cool to hear.
Like, no other
sport from a drag racer.
Other segment of drag,
right?
No other segment of drag racing.
Love to sit around and talk about how they would do something different, right? Yeah.
No other segment of drag racing would that be the answer. And that's honestly what I was fishing for, because I didn't think that's what he would say, but that's what I was fishing for. I've never seen a drag race, Dave, where the participants, the people involved, were more on board. You know what I mean? Like, you go to, and I'm not trying to piss anybody off, but you go to an NHRA race, you go to No Mercy, you go to a PDRA race, and like you bump into someone in the staging lanes, and the first thing they're gonna tell you is like, if I was running this deal, we'd have had Q1 done on Tuesday, or they'd have something. They'd have something to say. Or if I was running this deal, we'd be running for $50 million and there'd be no entry fee. They'd all have something to say. And I looked at it and I just felt like there is a complete and total buy-in. Like everybody that I saw this weekend at the Motorplex, and it's from all walks of it, whether it was Farm Truck and Asian, whether it was yourself, Dave, Boosted, everybody, Ryan, everybody's on board. Like they get it. And I just think that's like the perfect answer. We need to make sure that Dion cuts that little segment out, Mike, because there's no other walk of the drag racing life where you're going to ask someone what they would change about the series they run and hear them say nothing.
And that kind of reminds me of Jeff last week. He said, I mean, we talked about this, how he said something like he built that shop just to get a place to sleep and shower between these races. And he's really happy with how things are going. I mean, you know, this is a guy that's done a lot, and he seemed, we called it, really happy with his station in life at the moment. And I think it is just, you know, obviously the success on all fronts for this show, financially, publicity-wise. You know, I really think that it speaks to how it's taking care of everyone. It's not, usually it's like the promoters are making the money or the racers are making the money, you know, the track's making the money, but it seems like everyone is pretty happy with the way this is going right now.
Yeah, I think everybody's got their hand in the cookie jar without a doubt.
Right.
But it all works. Like it all works. It all clicks. And it's
got a big enough cookie jar. That's fine, right?
Yeah, 100%.
That's the way it should be. Honestly, though, that's the way it should be, right?
Yeah.
And Sam is all about everybody making money. Like, and he'll tell you, he's like, hey, I want, because we're always worried about what to put on the YouTube. Like, we don't want to give things away, or we don't want to do this or that. And Sam's like, man, I want y'all to make money. That's what it's all about. And, man, look at it. Like, the stands are packed. Everybody's bringing their families. You got, a handful of drivers out there at any given time interacting with everybody. I had a line. Every time I made a pass and come back, I had a line waiting. I lost to Little Country and had the biggest line ever. When I lost a round, they don't care. Like, they're there to see us and interact with us and get something signed and get pictures and all that stuff. I think it's great. It's amazing. And Sam has provided that for us. So hats off to him. And we all bust our ass to make sure it's going to keep going.
Right. You're taking advantage of those opportunities to have apparel, to do a YouTube channel, all these things that are optional, outside of the actual racing, but that the opportunity is there to capitalize on your popularity. So that's hats off to you guys for taking advantage of that.
Yeah. And everybody.
When did you know? Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
You get some people that just, even the people that are on here and participating and doing this, they're haters, like legit haters of some of us. And the fact is, everybody was given the same opportunity,
right,
from the get-go. You're either good at TV or you suck at TV. It's black and white. Everybody's given the same opportunity, and a handful of us took advantage of everything. Like, I got some other stuff going on, and we call it. This is going to sound horrible. We call it mailbox money. So I have other stuff going on, and every month I go to the mailbox and there's checks in there for extracurricular activities and the work that I put in somewhere else off of the show. Like I said, we all given the same opportunity. Some of us just took advantage of it, and other people are just sitting back hating on us.
Dude, as the way I see it is, I hope you guys make all the money there is, because I'm a believer that a high tide lifts all boats. For me, the bigger Street Outlaws becomes, the bigger No Prep Kings becomes, the more opportunity that exists for us at Drag Illustrated, and the more people that care about this shit, and the more people pay attention to it. It's, to be honest, like, it's not lost on us. We're piggybacking on the show right now tonight. You know what I mean? Like, we're piggybacking, and I'm not afraid to admit that. We are. You know what I mean? Like, hey, dude, it is what it is.
Stop right there. So, Truth 3 in here, us 4, and I don't know how many people are watching, but
all of them.
When it first started, Wes, you were a hater, were you not?
I got labeled a hater because of some shit that was taken out of context. I was asked to speak at a PDRA because that I was a believer because I put you guys on the cover of the magazine.
We did. I got it right there.
Yeah, you remember that, right, Dave? And I literally,
I still have one.
I thought I was going to get crucified. I literally did. I have never in my life gotten more negative feedback, and I'm like kind of a guy who I don't like negative feedback. I like to keep everybody happy. I'm a get along with everybody kind of guy.
We knew that was coming. We expected that. That was a calculated move.
It was. But I believed at that time that the best thing that was happening in drag racing was the fact that I could turn on Discovery Channel, a major cable channel, and see people doing burnouts. I didn't care if you guys were doing them in school zones, if you were doing them in my living room on the moon. The fact that you guys, I've been saying this for 15, 16 years, that someone needs to come along and make it cool to be a car guy again. And I think you guys did that single-handedly. I think you, Big Chief, Murder Nova, that group made it cool to have a shop towel in your pocket. You know what I mean? Like a shop
that's
wrap.
That's where I was headed with the question is, let's see that crash right here. Boom.
Yeah, that's the one. That's what you're talking about.
We got
this is the one.
We got to turn that up too. I love. Ricochet Bird. But
so then No Prep Kings comes out, And I did say I was trying to pump up. So here you got to appreciate the context. I was at a PDRA awards banquet, and I'm looking at a room full of PDRA racers who have no self-belief. They're the exact opposite of Dave Comstock, right? Like, you know what you're doing is significant. And I'm looking at this group of racers who are badasses, right? And they're all ho-hum, shoulders kind of slumped forward. They don't have any sizzle. And my job was to go in there and pump the room up. And what I said was, what happens when a PDRA racer shows up at a No Prep Kings race? They win. And I was trying to pump up the PDRA guys and say that, hey, you guys are badasses or whatever. But of course, it turns into Wes says the PDRA, the No Prep King sucks, and PDRA, and that's not what it was. But it was an interesting moment. No, it wasn't what it was. I was just trying to cheer these guys up. Because, like, if I actually said this to my guys earlier this week. Well, today's Monday, right? So earlier this morning, excuse me. But, like, if I looked at the weekend of what happened, NHRA, No Prep Kings, No Mercy, and PDRA, I personally feel the best competition was the PDRA. The best show was the NPK. The next best show was NHRA, and third best or fourth best was No Mercy. Like, if I'm being 100% honest, right? And what I was trying to get across at that awards banquet is that the PDRA, man, like, I counted in the first round of eliminations on Sunday between Pro Boost and Pro Nitrous, there were 16 or 18 3.6 second runs. That's impressive. I mean, that's really impressive. Like, I was stunned by it. It was a badass show. And I just get frustrated because the PDRA, like, they have zero swagger about them, and they should have swagger, right? Like, they should have swagger about them.
They're legit badasses. Yeah, they're great.
They're legit badasses. Yeah. But they miss it a little bit on the entertainment factor and the swagger that you guys, Dave, bring like in spades. You know, but I know exactly what you're referring to, because it became a big to-do that Wes is bagging on the No Prep Kings. I was specifically trying to promote my PDRA guys, but anyways.
But Wes is happy. Wes is happy to have gotten that.
Man, that was a long.
He's happy. He was so excited when you asked that, Dave.
I was.
He's like, yeah, well, it's
I like this shit, you know.
So where was drag racing?
Whatever.
Where was drag racing then? Like,
true.
Was it up or down?
It was down.
Cool.
I've said it, like, since we put you on the cover, man. I think drag racing is as much a part of pop culture as it has ever been in my life.
That's what I wanted to get at there.
Yeah, like, I didn't get to see Don Prudhomme on Worldwide. What was it called? Wide World of Sports.
Wide World of Sports.
I didn't get to see that.
Yeah.
I didn't get to see Shirley Muldowney on TV. That was before my time. And, like, in my opinion, that's what you guys are now, is your Big Daddy Don Garlitz and Don the Snake Prudhomme and all the Shirley Cha-Cha Muldowney.
Well, that was the hero machine. I said this over the weekend, Wes. The hero machine was, like, consolidated in one place, and it was NHRA Pro Drag Racing. And I just feel like it's more segmented now. And if anything, the hero machine is on Discovery, and it's with you guys. Say what you want about that, but I mean, NHRA obviously puts on a great show. All of these organizations do, but as far as generating heroes for the everyday fan, this is where it's at. I can tell you that.
No comparison.
I can tell you that.
What did Sean do? Hit the cone here.
I'm not gonna confirm or deny any of this that's going on in the TV. Let's just keep talking.
Well, there's part of the cone on the car.
Yeah, so
let's just keep talking.
I've been around racing my whole life, and I said this last week. Friends and family, they're like, "What is it that you guys do? I don't get it," or whatever. And then now, since this, in the last handful of years, since the Street Outlaws deal has been on TV, I've got people asking me, friends and family, "Hey, do you know these guys, these Street Outlaws guys? You know Lizzie Musey? Oh, Pat Musey's shop is in Mooresville here where we live." And I'm like, yeah. And they're all of a sudden, these people that are legends or well known in drag racing are now heroes or characters that these people that had nothing to do with drag racing are now following. They're asking me, can I get t-shirts for them and stuff? Man. And so it's funny to see that leap that it makes to the mainstream fan. So I think that to me is what has built it. Like you said, Wes, in pop culture, and Dave, where was drag racing when you guys came on the scene versus where it is now?
Well, Mike, just like your dad, they refer to him as, the mod father, I mean, but yeah, people didn't resonate with anybody, right. And but now they do. Yeah, that's crazy, right?
See, I grew up watching Pat and Tony, like those were the guys I watched, and now I'm out here, racing with Pat, and I think the greatest time I had is when we were testing my car in Orlando with Steve Petty when I first went Twin Turbo. Yeah, Pat Moosey and Tony and me and a couple other guys were sitting around bullshitting, and I'm hearing all these old stories about Pat and Tony, and Tony, giving Pat shit like they did back in the days, and I thought that was the greatest thing ever.
It is.
I'm like, I'm hanging out with these old bastards that I used to watch, and now I'm racing against them. It's the greatest thing ever. I love it.
Tony Christian, I was doing an ad for Tony one time, and he's like, but the drag racers, I could strap a 2x4 to the top of my vehicle, or my top of my car, and if I go out there and run a 10th quicker, everybody's gonna have 2x4s next race.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, 100%.
That sounds like him. I went to a race at Mooresville Dragway. Actually, it was JJ's arm drop last year, and they had Pat come to Mooresville Dragway, and I don't know. Dave gave me. I don't know if he was yawning or he gave me the. Oh,
yeah, no, I was yawning.
They had the event there at Mooresville Dragway, and so I'm thinking all these people have to know that Pat's shop is here in Mooresville, right? They have to know Pat from Pro Mod, Pro Street, the big dog
People's
days.
Court.
People's Court.
People's Court.
But these people, they were all, hey, I could hear them whispering behind me, hey, that's Mr. Pat. That's Pat from that show. They didn't know him really from anything except for they had seen him on Street Outlaws. It was a younger crowd. It was a new generation. I turned to Pat and I said, Pat, I hear all these people saying your name, and I'm pretty sure 90% of them know you only from the last couple of years on Street Outlaws, despite your 50-year history in drag racing.
That's the greatest thing
It's
ever.
Crazy, man.
TV moves the needle.
I mean, my dad runs an auto repair shop. So if anytime I go home and go into my dad's shop and see customers or whatever, they never once ask me hey, do you know John Force? They don't ask me, hey, do you know Clay Millican? And I hate that. I hate it. But they all ask me, hey, do you know that Big Chief? Do you know that Lizzie Music? And it's you guys have broken through, and this is it. You guys have kind of crossed that threshold or whatever into being real deal celebrities. And I think the sport benefits from it. And I told this to Boosted on our show Wednesday, a month ago. Anybody who hates on Street Outlaws or No Prep Kings, myself included, anybody, we're jealous. And I will admit there's been plenty of times that I've been jealous. You know what I mean? I put on a race we put on the World Door Slammer Nationals this year. We paid out $375,000, right? One Sunday afternoon, $75,000 to win Pro Stock, $50,000 to win Pro Mod, $10,000 complimentary, $10,000 Top Sport, and the list goes on, right? I mean, we paid crazy money, and it is nowhere even remotely close to what I saw this weekend at No Prep Kings. There's 80 race cars on the property. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Anybody who hates on it is literally jealous.
Well, we got one in the comments.
We got one right here. Right here.
Yeah, we got one right here. Yeah. Street douchebags is the biggest joke ever.
But he's here watching.
But he's watching.
Yeah, but he took time
he's watching.
To comment. Yeah.
Guarantee. Hey, thanks for the ratings, buddy. Thank you.
Appreciate you, big dog.
See what I mean?
Like the channel. But no, it's I give you guys a ton of credit, Dave. Honestly, it's amazing.
What gets me is the whole MPK crowd. They're racing, they're doing what they love or what they like, and they're racing, and they're bitching about it, and they're bitching about us mainly, like the 405 this, the 405 that. They need to just step back and realize that if it wasn't for us douchebags, NPK wouldn't be around.
Yeah,
Right.
I promise you.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a television show. You wouldn't have the chance to come race for 40 grand. You wouldn't have a chance to be on national TV. You wouldn't have it if it wasn't for us douchebag 405 guys.
Right.
Well,
No, it
I'll
all
tell
started
you,
with
I think that Tyler
Absolutely.
Crossnose raced in Memphis, several years back, and maybe Lights Out 7, when you guys were all hitting a few of those radio races, it packed the damn place. I mean, like, people are coming out of the woodwork,
Don't say that too loud. Donald will get on here and tell you no.
Well, that's what it was. That's why. I mean, like, really, I mean, it was crazy. And then the lines around y'all's, trailers was just nuts.
Listen,
crazy.
It seems like we're kind of airing out dirty laundry here. But like,
careful,
Lights Out 7.
You drinks.
No, but like Lights Out 7, Lights Out 7
was off. Yeah,
that was as I haven't seen quote unquote pandemonium like that since like Drag Stock 3 in Rockingham. Like, I was literally scared. It was a little sketchy. You know what I mean?
Oh,
and
gosh.
anyone who wants to say that wasn't because of the street out, because Big Chief was there, Murder Nova was there, you were there, Kai was there.
Yep.
You're lying to yourselves. I mean, and listen, a hand to God, it pisses me off too. Because, like, I think Stevie Jackson deserves that. I think Mike Castellana deserves that. I think J.R. Gray deserves that, right? I think Erica Enders deserves that. But they don't got it. I mean, it is what it is. You know what I mean?
TV moves the needle. I mean, like, they've watched it.
Needle.
Yeah, and it's great. It's great. You guys are able to do this stuff and pack tracks.
It's great TV. It's great TV.
Yeah.
Because
NHRA is on
even
TV.
my wife. Yeah, NHRA is on TV, but it's bad TV.
Yeah,
like, it's going to piss somebody off. I'm going to hear about that Wednesday. But like, it really is. It's bad TV. Like, it's great for the hardcores. It's great for those of us that are going to watch no matter what. But it's not great for like somebody flipping the channels. It's not. Like, you're not going to. No one's going to. The show that the NHRA puts on, in my opinion, is not attracting new fans. Like, I liked you as soon as I saw you working on that Sonoma in your own shop. And I'm like, hey, man, this guy's a mechanic. This is one of us. This is a guy. This is a real dude.
But that's what it is. He lets them peek behind the scenes. I mean, there's a reason why that the race is at the end of the show. After we've seen all the drama leading up to it and all the work put in, and and people get to see your personality before the race happens towards the end of the show, right? I mean,
yeah. I watched NHRA growing up. Religiously, I watched NHRA, but constantly doing that, just downhill. And then when I heard Stevie Fast was going in there, I was like, yes, finally, you're going to add character, because, you go down through there and force beats whoever, and you're not going to have cussing and swearing and the shit that you see on NPK. You're not going to see it on NHRA. And I'm thinking, hell yeah, Stevie Fast is going to go in there and he's going to flip that whole thing upside down, because he's going to be that guy that jumps up on his blower screaming and yelling and telling the guy he sucks and he just gapped him and blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, okay, well, here comes the character NHRA is going to pick up. And then they go in there and just slap his hand.
Oh,
can't do that.
Like,
can't do that.
They need to be investing into that guy, and they don't. It's like
he's great
missing
character.
the boat. Yeah.
And I talked to Stevie in Georgia, and I'm like, hey, I may or may not have the chance to go pro mod racing in an NHRA. And he's like, oh, that'd be friggin' amazing, because
what's this?
He needs a villain. Like everybody needs a villain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Stevie don't have
an
NHRA, because nobody's gonna stand on the other side of Stevie Fast and tell him that he sucks and I'm gonna gap you, and they're not gonna have that controversy. It's just not gonna happen. They don't have nobody, and I thought about it, and I was going that direction, and I had a pretty big budget saved up for that, but NHRA gets involved, and then it's and NPK, I love it. Street Outlaws, I love it, and we do 3 shows now. It's my living, so I'm gonna hang with Sam Corcus and I'm gonna ride this thing right to the end, and hope NHRA does something to get character in there, because that's what they need.
Well, if we ever put on a big pro mod race again, maybe you can get a ride for one
I
race,
hope so.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be great, because I think I'm that guy. I don't need NHRA, so if I can go in there and race with NHRA and beat Stevie fast, I'm going to tell him he sucks on the big end, and I'm going to jump up and down and flip shit over, and I'm going to be that guy.
He'd love it.
Your willingness to be that guy is what is missing in drag racing, in pro level drag racing right now. Nobody wants to be that guy. Like, just, you said it, man. There's got to be heroes. There's got to be villains, black hats, white hats, baby faces, heels.
Yes.
It's part of it. I mean, somebody's got to lean into it. And like you saying right here that you're willing to be that guy, that's what we lack in NHRA, because pretty much everybody over there wants to be like everybody's best friend. They don't want to upset the apple cart. They don't want to not be able to walk into somebody's pits later that day. And that's what we need.
Or is it sponsors? Is it that, or is it sponsors?
I don't think it's, well, you want to know why?
I don't know if the sponsors are big enough to like care about it, right? You know, like, they're not writing big enough checks to give a shit, right?
No, I mean, like, if I was going to an NHRA race and seeing Oreo and like Captain Crunch and like Coke on the side of cars, maybe. But there aren't any sponsors. I mean, most of the teams are like individually wealthy or like associated with a company somehow, some way. It's a business to business deal. But I don't watch any NASCAR. But what's that one guy, JT, the dude that pisses everybody off?
Kyle Busch.
Everybody hates him.
Kyle Busch.
Yeah, Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch.
He's sponsored by M&M's. I mean,
he's skinny. So you know that's bullshit.
The yellow peanut M&M seems really friendly. The yellow peanut M&M, he seems like a super nice guy. So like, it's not like Kyle Busch is on brand. I think it's just that they're all like afraid to piss somebody off, Dave. I really do. I think that's 95% of it. Don't want to piss anybody off.
And it may be, and beyond everybody's belief, the whole sponsorship and NPK, it's just, do I have companies that help me out? Absolutely. But do I have full sponsorship? Like somebody write me a $200,000 check or a $500,000 check to sponsor me all year? No, not even close. Like ProLine, I have a bill at ProLine. I have a bill at Mark Mickey's. I have a bill at Glass Tech. Like, I pay for everything. We don't have full sponsorship. So I just wonder if the whole NHRA thing was, we don't want to piss off our sponsors, so we got to talk politically correct.
I think NHRA sponsors, not the team sponsors, but the NHRA sponsors, and their deal with Fox or Coca-Cola, now Camping World. So maybe that's it. I don't know. I just think maybe it's a different audience. I feel like this MPK deal attracts a younger audience. I think that NHRA still caters to the get off my lawn audience, knowingly and willingly. I think that they go toward that older demographic that wants to just see the cars make a run. Actually, some of the feedback I got, Wes, like you and Al on the mic and the Friday night deal at Stampede, pretty much all of our friends and family and everyone that kind of sees things the way we do loved it. But I got some feedback from some, we'll call it some get off my lawn people that
look at Big Country get mad.
Yeah, there's Big Country, boy. I don't know if they want to mess with him too much.
Oh my God.
I mean, and that's
they don't.
That's another group. That's another family there that they're buying into it. They're playing the villain, right?
You're not gonna see that on NHRA.
Yeah.
And you know, little country, big country. I mean, they've always spoke their mind, you know, and that's why people love it. They love them.
I think the wives get into it too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, because this is some Real Housewives of, you know.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, you're not gonna see that on NHRA.
Mama Swanstrom.
Mama Swanstrom's getting lit. She's
I got nothing wrong with that either, though. You want to stick up for family. You know what? I tell you what, they're good people. You should handle it.
JT, you remember when Big Country knocked that dude's head clear off
at Duck's race
at Valdosta?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That hands are the size of fucking a bat. Like, he got big old.
He makes me feel like a frail woman when I shake his hand. He does.
Yeah, he bitch slapped that guy in Georgia and about took his head off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's all good.
Yeah,
I love it.
smiling.
Justin, Robin's going to be on the show Wednesday. We'll have to talk about this.
Nice.
All right, so what is this? Jerry Bird versus Murder. Okay, Jerry Bird versus Justin Swanstrom in the final.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he's got matching sides to his car at this point. Right?
Man,
right, Dave?
I'm a little disappointed in Justin. He used to show up at Ducks races wearing Yeezys. Now he's got some like $22 Nike slides on.
I think he won a foot race one time
He had
on
to
the
sell
starting
them. line. He had to sell them to get the car together.
Yeah, I was gonna say he built that Lexus and got it spent all his money.
Didn't he win a foot race on the starting line?
Yeah,
one
he
time?
won a foot race at Ducks race a while
I
back.
think he used to be a hell of a football player in high school.
Yeah, I think so. Dude, Big Country.
God, I'm gonna do
Big Country. Big Country has been in character for like 15 years. Like,
he didn't have a camera.
They've just been waiting.
Camera, man.
He's just been waiting. Yeah, he's just been waiting for a cameraman to show up. He called me literally yesterday at like 9 a.m. You know, and he's like, "Hey, I got a bunch of shit to say," and he's awesome. I love him actually, man.
You see, Little Country's got blinders on his helmet.
I didn't.
Yeah,
he
does, doesn't he?
Because he made the same rookie mistake I did when he crashed. He was watching Kai, or I think he was watching Kai, and he ended up crashing.
I have to put blinders on when I go to Golden Corral buffet, so I don't see the people that are up there touching all the food while I'm there.
Oh, man.
It's true.
All I can see when I go to Golden Corral is that trough of
dude,
nacho
you won't
cheese
go to
sauce.
no Golden Corral buffet with me. I've tried a
I've
million
never
times.
been. I don't go to them.
No, I haven't been to one
Shoney's
since
one
my
time, I
dad
think.
used to make us go after church. My dad used to make our family go after church, and it always felt like a punishment, you know, when I was a kid. He just thought we were winning the lottery going to Golden Corral.
I pray sometimes to put more bacon back up
we
there,
had,
but that's
we had
about it.
Quincy's. Did you guys have Quincy's in the Midwest?
Yeah.
That was like Golden Corral on the East Coast before Golden Corral. Quincy's.
Really?
It was awesome.
Quincy. I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, Ponderosa.
Yeah,
Shout out to Quincy's. Let us know in the comments. Quincy's versus Golden Corral.
There we go. Sponsor.
All right, here we go. They're in.
He gone.
Man, Jerry Bird shit runs good though.
It should.
So is that like a big 959 Charlie Buck deal?
Yeah.
What's that?
Big Charlie Buck motor. And nitrous cars are light.
What does your car have to weigh with the ProCharged Hemi deal, Dave?
2750.
No shit. Country boys are coming, fellas. That was awesome.
Gosh,
I love it.
That fly has been bugging me all night long. I thought I got it. Never mind.
See, I mean, this is really good drag racing. This is where No Prep Kings doesn't get the credit it deserves. Like, this is great racing.
That was a great race. Man, we've been at that track a lot of times over the years, haven't we?
Mm-hmm.
Me and Little Country and Ennis, we're side by side. Like, it was one of those you had to look at the scoreboard to see whose win light come on.
I thought you got him. I really did. I thought, I thought you had it.
Yeah, me too.
Man, I am really, really proud of Justin, though, because, like, he's really put himself out there. He's leaned into it. He's done the hard part. You know what I mean? Yep. And I think he's a star. I really do. I think he's got the personality. He's got the gift, the gab. He's going to be a big star. I truly believe it.
I think so. Unless he forgets a lot of shit.
True. So is Big Chief gonna have a presence toward the end of the season here, or he wasn't in Ennis? He's been on the show this year, though, right?
Next question,
no?
What do you say?
He goes, "Next question, please." That's hilarious.
Well, at the first Sean or Justin bought into the No Prep Kings, right? Or didn't want to run it at the very first, right? And then Sean started running a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, season 1 and 2, neither one of them. And they'll tell you they shipped down NPK for 2 seasons. And then I think realized that show was going to go on without them. So Sean jumped on board. He did one event, season 3 in Texas, and then, he fell in love with it. I can tell you right now to this day that he loves going around to these tracks. He loves NPK and doing it. So
it's an incredible thing, man. It truly is. And Dave, thank you so much for spending 2 hours on a Monday night talking shit with us on the internet. I hope you know how much it means to us. I appreciate it. Everybody appreciates it. Everybody that was watching tonight appreciates it. We really are proud and happy for you guys. Proud of you guys, happy for you guys, and grateful. I think that's a fair statement. Like, what this show has done for the sport of drag racing, making it cool to be a car guy again, making it cool to have a fast car. I've said many times, I graduated high school in 2002, and I remember, like, I was a weird guy for having a hot rod. Like, the cool kids had Priuses or whatever, Mitsubishi Eclipse. You know what I'm saying?
Weird.
And like, we're still kind of weird.
We don't call them cool. We don't call them cool.
No, they're not cool. But you know what I mean? Like, it's so cool that it's like fashionable again to have a hot rod. It's fashionable again to have a race car. It's a great thing. And I honestly think I can speak on behalf of our entire racing community when I say that we greatly appreciate what you guys are doing for us. And we know it's not easy. And we can't wait to see what happens next, man. I had so much fun this Friday and Saturday. At the No Prep Kings event, I told my wife, I said, shit, I'm going to have to find a way to get to Louisiana and find a way to get to Florida. There's a ton of racing going on, but it was as much fun. Just the atmosphere, everybody having a good time, everybody leaning in. It was an incredible thing to see, man. So I'm super happy for you, Dave. Thank you.
Well, Wes wants to build an MPK car, but don't come in there trying to get right into the invitational deal, Wes. You need gotta go through
big tire.
You got to go through the process. Future Street Outlaws.
That's fine.
I'll be honest, this whole thing.
I'm good with it.
There's 2 things that I really enjoy out of this whole deal, and it's the little kids. I love it. Like, you sit them in the front seat of the car, or you set them up on the table to get a picture, anything, and their eyes are this big. That's the greatest thing ever. And then you got 80-year-old men telling you a story of how they just drug their car out of the barn to get back running again. Yes, and that right there, that tugs on your heart. I mean, that means a lot to all of us. But those 2, to me, are probably the biggest things that mean a lot to me of this whole show.
That's awesome.
I think you guys have literally done that. Like, you've got that passion back for people that have this car sitting in their barn that for 20 years have said, oh, eventually I'm going to do something with that thing. And then, they've pulled it out now, and they've got with their, son or their grandson or whatever. And they, and it's became a family project probably for a lot of these people.
I love it. I absolutely love that part.
We hear it quite a bit, actually.
Yep.
You have, man. I mean, I remember talking to Chris Alston Chassis Works. He told me, like, I built my company on the back of people that were chasing the dream, building cars that never, ever made it to the racetrack. And that went away, and I believe that you guys have brought that back. You know what I mean? Like, you guys have brought that back where it's like people are, and the cars look like cars. I mean, if I had $1 for every time this past weekend I heard somebody tell me, I got one just like that. It's like, no, you don't have a Chevy 2 with a ProCharge Hemi in it. But I get what you're saying, and that's good for those guys. We need way more of them, man. So, but seriously, Dave, thank you so much.
I was at M&M Transmission.
I don't want to cut you off.
I was at M&M's Wednesday morning. I was at M&M.
Mark Mickey, awesome dude.
Yep, shout out Mark
amazing. Mickey. The work orders that were on the wall. So they have a room they just build trannies in. They have a room they just build converters in and shifters. Like, the work orders that are hanging on the wall was phenomenal. And I said, Mark, what is the deal? And he said, we've never been more busier in our life.
That's great. That is great.
Mark
So
Mickey
that,
bought the first ever ad in Drag Illustrated magazine. I'll never forget 16 years ago, I called Mark. He raced for me when I was running this little 8th mile drag strip in Iowa. He was one of our Outlaw 10-5 guys. And I called him up down in Jefferson City, Missouri. And I said, hey, man, I'm starting this magazine. I swear it's going to be awesome. I need your support. Do you want to be a part of this? And he said, put me down. He bought the first ever ad in the magazine. And he hasn't missed an issue since. 171 issues of the magazine. Mark Mickey's ran an ad in every one of them. He's I consider him a dear friend. I've known him most of my adult life, and it's awesome. I mean, to see how much and I found it very telling. Like, he was at the PDRA race this weekend. His business is so big right now. Hell, he can't even hardly race himself.
Yep.
You know what I mean? He's got to go support customers. It's incredible.
Yeah.
You know, Jake Hawk said it the other day. He said, you know, Mark Mickey, like, whatever it takes, that guy's there for you. You know, that's his exact quote about Mark.
And my trainee guy is Rodney of the M&M RPM transmission. I've been with Rodney since day one, and he's the same way. Like, I got 2 transmissions on order for customers. It's just Rodney's like, man, we are so busy right now, and it's, you know, it's amazing.
I'm Daddy Dave.
For the whole industry.
Yeah, it's good to hear.
It's awesome.
It is, man. Let's give it up for him. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
That was awesome.
Seriously. So you're going to Belrose,
Louisiana?
You'll be there?
Yes. Yep. And the last one is in Bradenton, Florida. So if you're around the area, just let me know, Wes. I'll put you on my list. You can get in.
Thanks, brother. I need somebody to act like they know me. Thanks,
Mike
brother.
does for sure. Because Pat left him hanging out to dry.
Right?
Oh, man.
All right,
another
you boys take it
another
easy.
day. See you guys.
Thanks,
See
Dave.
y'all.
See ya.
That was phenomenal. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. The show was really good tonight, too. Thanks for being a part of this, guys. I know it burns up a Monday night. We'll watch a little bit of football, and I'll talk to you all in the morning. Everybody that's a part of this deal, thank you, guys. We are blown away by the participation we get in this deal. Mike, you hear Mike, JT, and I say this every Wednesday afternoon. Your comments, it's like oxygen to us. We need it. This kind of interaction is a game changer for us. So thank you so much for being a part of this. We will be back Wednesday afternoon this week, Wednesday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time with the Wes Buck Show. We're going to be joined by, I believe, Alexis DeJoria, fresh off a funny car win at the NHRA National event in Bristol. We'll also be joined by J.R. Gray, who scored his first ever Pro Mod victory. J.R. Gray is an awesome guy, a real big character. I can't wait to have him on the show, kind of unleash him on the world. We will also be joined by Robin Roberts, who you saw tonight here on Street Outlaws No Prep Kings, in that order, actually. So please log on to the show, youtube.com/Drag Illustrated, facebook.com/Drag Illustrated. And thank you guys so much. Seriously, Gordon, Derek, Paul, Mike, everybody, thank you guys for participating in this deal. We really, truly appreciate it. We'll see you next time.